We're about to be live on the radio, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. Ooh, this is going to be a very spicy episode. Let's get to it. Hey, Bloomington Normal. Welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Oh, hey, everybody on the radio and everything. I just had my mic cut, but don't worry, we are here. I'm your host, Phares, and you're watching Speechless on Cities 92.9, and you're listening to it if you're on the radio, but you could be watching it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or maybe even Rumble. I hope you guys are checking all of the stuff out that we got there, but we got a great show to get to, everybody, and really the main question at the heart of this show is who is teaching your children? Who is teaching your children? We're going to cover that here today on Speechless. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Speechless. I'm your host, Phares, 22-year-old conservative college student out of Central Illinois, Normal, Illinois. And we got some Illinois news to cover here. But before we get to any of that, I want to start off with a big happy birthday to my good friend, Brian. He's the best bartender in Bloomington Normal. If you're out there listening, Brian, happy birthday to you. I also want to make a big shout out to Paul Garcia Productions, who sponsors this show. Paul Garcia Productions out of Central Illinois does amazing video production work for local businesses. If you want to help your business get more business, make sure you check out Paul Garcia Productions today. Paul Garcia Productions does, like I said, amazing work. And it's also National Radio Day. So if you're listening out on your radio right now, thank you for doing so, because it's National Radio Day, and I just wanted to make a big announcement celebrating that. But we have so much to cover here today. Again, the central theme of this entire show is going to be who is teaching your children. I'm hoping to have some guests on, as it's become an Illinois issue. I mean, it's always been an issue across the nation, but specifically Illinois, with one school district not too far north of Normal, Bloomington Normal, where we're stationed here, that has had quite the controversy with the teacher. And I'm going to get to that story, but I want to start off with this one. I found a lot of this information on Libs of TikTok. You guys might know Libs of TikTok. They end up actually producing and showing a lot of great content that exposes how the liberals and not even just liberals, but how wackos are infiltrating our school system. And so I have this one right here. A California teacher blasts a school as homophobic for allegedly making her remove her progressive pride flag from a classroom. This is a real story. This is a real thing. She's blasting a school district as homophobic. If you're watching on one of my live streams, I'm going to pull it up right here. So you can see there's this teacher, and she posts on Facebook, and she says, Year 6 honestly had a much cuter post in mind, but it feels disingenuous to post something nice about a terrible first day. As always, kids were amazing. Admin taking down my pride flag themselves was not. Working in an unsafe, homophobic environment is exhausting in a way that escapes the post-verbal world of the first days of kindergarten. Wait. So this teacher is a kindergarten teacher. And she wants to have this pride flag up in her classroom. And then she says that the school is homophobic for wanting her to allegedly take this down. Then she goes on to say, it's not just in Texas or Florida, or it's also insidiously tucked into the fold of, quote, progressive cities like LA, because she's from California. To those committing day in and day out to filling their homes and their classrooms with justice, love, and advocacy, I hope you are able to fiercely protect your peace, that the world grants you moments of gentle rest. To kiddos in these spaces, you deserve the universe. Oh my gosh. And she's wearing a shirt, and she posts this. This is her profile picture that says, educating is activism. Educating is activism. No, sweetheart. Educating is not activism. Educating is about preparing our youth to live in the world. And at the kindergarten level, what does that mean? What does that mean? And I'm not an expert, I'm not an education major even. I have a friend who's a teacher who will be on soon to talk a little bit more about some of these controversies. But I mean, I'm a reasonable individual. I can understand, I can discern what you're supposed to learn in kindergarten. And it's not activism, okay? You're not supposed to learn activism in kindergarten. You want to know what you're supposed to learn in kindergarten? How to color, how to interact with people, small little things, shapes. A triangle has 3 sides. That's the color red. You don't need to be learning about how to be an ally. Who are these? Where do we find these people? How do these people get into? What do you guys think? Give me a text or call in at 309-451-9299. Let me know. Is educating activism? Maybe I'm wrong. I always try to preface everything saying maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But tell me how I'm wrong. 309-451-9299 or leave it in the comments on on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, anything like that. Let me know. Because to me, educating is not activism. And also, by the way, this teacher who claims that the school district and school made her take down her pride flag from her kindergarten classroom, pride flag in the kindergarten classroom. Actually, a parent reached out to Libs of TikTok and said they didn't even make her remove it. They just made her relocate it. So having to move your pride flag to another area in the classroom is homophobia. This lady's crazy, but she's not the only one. These teachers are making their way. And this is why I say, I'll say it probably a lot of times during my show today. I will not be sending my kids to public school. Look, when I went to public school, and this was only 5 years ago, I mean, I still go to a public university, and I'll tell you, that's a problematic in and of itself, but at least I'm 22. I know what I believe, and I can stand up for what I believe. I don't need some teacher to indoctrinate me. But when you have a kindergarten classroom that shows a pride flag in it, and why am I so mad? Why? Well, one, pride, the entirety of it is about sexuality. What kindergartner needs to learn anything about sexuality? I don't care if you're straight, gay, whatever. I don't care. But what kindergartner needs to be learning about that? None of them. No kindergarten. And if you believe that a kindergartner needs to be learning about sexuality, then you have nefarious intent. Purely. You have nefarious intent if you want a kindergartner to learn about sex and sexuality. There's no other. Why else would you want them to learn about that kind of stuff? I don't understand it. But this kind of behavior has become a lot more local. A community not too far from and not too much different than our own here in Bloomington Normal is steeped in outrage due to a teacher with a complicated history. And I'm telling you, complicated is an understatement. And fortunately, I've had a gracious anonymous source that lives within this district, of which this teacher has some controversy, that has provided to me many pieces of social media that verifies this story. So, and I've even found myself into some of these social media things. And if anybody is here, I joined a parents group. So I'm going to tell you about this whole controversy and everything, but it's still developing. And I joined a parents group for this district. And if you're watching or listening, because I joined that parents group and I let you know that I was going to be talking about this story, please call in at 309-451-9299, because I want to hear from you, the parents that are dealing with this directly. Because obviously this doesn't directly affect me yet, but it could. When I have kids and when I have everything like that. But let's get into this. So parents and residents of Homer Community Consolidated School District 33C were left stunned this week when disturbing and vile social media posts were discovered, all written in 2018 and 2020 by a recently hired elementary school teacher. This is an elementary school art teacher, has gone by many names on social media, one of which being Chris, or the one that stays consistent is Chris. And there's a lot of different posts here and stuff. And so I'm going to I'll even pull up the Facebook group that I'm a part of. That's if you're watching online, but if you're listening on the radio, I will describe just some of the images and things that were posted to this elementary school teacher social media. And so even before I get into any of that, what I want to point out too is, so I'm a marketing major and I'm a political science major. In my marketing classes specifically, they talk a little bit about it in political science, but in my marketing classes specifically, they say a lot. Watch what you post on social media. Watch if you're out having drinks with people, watch how you post that and watch the way that you present yourself on social media, because it's a huge reflection, and employers supposedly go through your social media when they're looking to possibly hire you. In my marketing classes, they tell me be careful of posting about politics. Well, look how that's working out for me, But but they say even watch about posting about politics. Well, here's a teacher again from this Homer Glen school district in central or in a little bit suburb of Chicago, Illinois, a southern suburb of Chicago. And so here's just some of the posts from this person's Instagram taken through screenshots. It's a little vile, I'll tell you, and so I can't even read all of it on the radio. But one of which is "F the police" with an upside down American flag. So stunning and brave. That one is actually specifically to support the George Floyd stuff. Then there's this one. It's an upside down cross, a pentagram, which is like the star, and 666. And it's this teacher, elementary school teacher, saying, "Hail Satan, the devil made me do it." There's some other ones here. This is just I don't even know what this is from, but it's a cover photo on Facebook. And it's a bloodied, mangled, seemingly dead woman that is, again, posted on this teacher's social media. Then prayer in school. This is supposed to be like a meme. I don't think it's very funny, but it says prayer in school. Be careful what you wish for. Religious right. And Chris, the teacher, said, "Coming for you, Betsy." I assume this was posted back in 2017. I assume this is Betsy, the former education secretary that they're discussing. But here's the biggest one. Okay, right? So before I show all of this online, so okay, you have a political opinion. You're a Satanist. We have freedom of religion. Look, I would have a problem with my kid being taught in that classroom, but you have a right to be crazy in that sense, to an extent in this country. And you can still get employment. I mean, again, the school should have probably vetted this a little bit better. I don't know exactly. We're going to break that down. But here's where the real issue stems from. Here's the real issue. And so on social media, this person, back to this elementary school art teacher, posted back in 2018, "I have bipolar disorder with mania and psychosis. This condition has drastically changed my life for better and worse. Because of it, I suffer from irrational thought processes, which make my fears and anxieties triple. Every day is a battle with my mind to survive." And it went on further to discuss violent thoughts because of this bipolar disorder. And I'll make sure I find that at some point so I can read the full thing. I don't have all of these are screenshots, and so I can't necessarily read everything perfectly through this. But this person, here we go. "Every day is a battle with my mind to survive and be the best me I can be. I have done things in conditions of psychosis and mania that have been violent and hurtful." So this is not just violent thoughts. This is a person saying that they have committed violent acts because of their mental illness. And here's the thing when it comes to this. This person is actively talking on their social media about having significant mental illness and acting violently because of it. And yet this is a person that was allowed to be a teacher in an elementary school. This is a person that was allowed to be a teacher in an elementary school. And so I obviously there's a lot to break down with this. Look, parents are getting outraged in Homer Glen, Lockport, Illinois because of this, rightfully so. So much so that actually tonight at 5 p.m., they will be having a school board meeting, a special school board meeting, directly to address these parents' concerns. Thank God. Thank God they are doing this. But from what I hear, again, just from my anonymous source, from my different sources that I've talked to that are close to the situation, they have a very, very liberal school board. And in fact, they actually, the community itself said before all of this controversy last spring, they approved the hiring of a full-time elementary school art teacher after a group of parents in this community spoke out about the importance of art education. So, no, they did not ask for this teacher, but they asked for the art education that led to this. Anyway, so they're going to be having this parent meeting tonight with the school board. And some Facebook groups, this is interesting because obviously that's the way that a lot of parents are pushing their frustration and everything. But some Facebook groups, including one that directly has to do with the school district and the school district addressing, I think it might be a mom's group or something. They've begun to censor parents that have been discussing this topic due to, quote, community guideline violations. They're starting to censor people talking about this. So I'm hopeful for this school board meeting tonight. We're going to keep covering it here. And we're going to keep talking about this because this is so important. And I know that there have been things like this, not necessarily a teacher exactly like this, but we have so many issues of education, especially in Illinois, where we have people directly pushing these insane opinions onto children that it's not age appropriate whatsoever. Like we've had pornographic material in our libraries and in Bloomington Normal. And if you have any stories like that, if you're as outraged as I am about this, please don't forget you can text or call in at 309-451-9299. 309-451-9299. I want to hear what you have to say about all of this. So much more to cover when it comes to this stories and stories like it. I have at least one guest that I have planning to come on in the second half of this hour. If you are one of the parents that is from the Homer Glen area and you're watching or you are listening, please, please, please call in 309-451-9299. This is your opportunity to get your message out there to the public about what the issue is with, I mean, obviously there's a lot of issues, but what your issue is specifically with having your kid in a classroom with a person that is outspokenly Satanist, that is outspokenly violent, like self-described violent tendencies. And I want to make sure I am a person that is very, I see I'm getting a call right now. I will take that call during the break so we can make sure that it's somebody good. But I want to make sure that this is not about bashing people with mental illness. I want to make sure that we're talking about that because the thing is that this person should have never been hired in the first place. And in the next segment, I'm going to talk about the different issues that this school has gone through to get us to this point. So we're going to cover all that. I'm going to take this caller. Everybody, don't forget, like, subscribe, share. If you're listening on the radio, go check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or Rumble. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back soon with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay, I'm going to take this call real quick, guys. I'm going to see who it is. Hopefully it's one of the parents so I can get their message out, but give me a moment. Okay, so that is a parent out of Pennsylvania, actually, who has had issues in their schools. And this is what we're going to talk. We're going to keep this about all schools, but I do want to make sure that we're also focusing a lot on this one in Illinois, because the controversy is just getting started, and obviously parents are outraged. And if you are one of those parents, please, please, please. Please send a chat or something like that. I'd really appreciate it. And then also call in because we're going to talk about just the overarching issue of indoctrination, especially in terms of a lot of it has to do with the pride movement in some way in school levels K through 12, but weirdly enough, it's happening in the elementary school level. And so I have a teacher that'll come on later. If you are one of those parents, though, I'd love for you to come on. Betsy DeVos, that's who I was thinking of earlier that I think that one post was targeting. And there's oh my gosh, I'm fired up about this issue today, guys, because I came from public school, and I came from very good public schools, and I love them. But even now, I hear stories all the time from parents, teachers, students about just crap being shoved in their face, just like the gender stuff, being gay, sexuality. I saw a pride parade that happened at an elementary school. I just saw a video of it on Twitter. I don't know all the facts of it and everything, but like they had like a celebration pride and ally parade at an elementary school in the US. Why is that necessary? Test scores are down, people. Test scores are down. And if test scores are down, do you think do you think maybe it has something to do with because we're focusing on the wrong things? What happened to reading, writing, and arithmetic? What happened to that? All right, we're gonna come back soon here. I see I'm getting another caller. I'm going to take this first one first, but please, 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 once I'm done with this caller, keep calling in and I'll make sure I get to as many people as I can. Hey, 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 Bloomington Normal. Welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. I'm your host, Kev Phares, 22-year-old conservative college student out of Central Illinois. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you are tuning in from, whether that's Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, or on your radio in your car or in your house, whatever. Thank you guys so much. I'm fired up today. We're talking about all things education. We have in Homer Glen, Illinois, right now developing story, a teacher that has been outspokenly Satanist, anti-Christian, super has worn one of those shirts from Target that got Target boycotted. You know, it says like Satan respects pronouns kind of things. Has posted all about this all over social media. But the biggest thing is this teacher has talked about their mental illness, which again, anybody who's going through anything, I recommend you seek help. But it's talked about how they have violent tendencies due to their mental illness and yet is still allowed to teach. But I'm going to take this first caller. I see other people calling in. We're talking about all things education right now. Caller on the line. Who am I speaking with again?
Hey, Kev, it's Moses. How you doing today?
Moses, great to be talking to you. So you were telling me off air a little bit. Thank you so much again. I'm doing great. We just only have so much time here, and I want to get to as many people as possible. But you were you were calling in and talking about a Pennsylvania school in your area that is closing down locker rooms specifically for transgender individuals. Make sure we're keeping it clean on the radio, but let me know about your story.
Well, the story goes that the girl that thought she was a boy went into a boys' locker room, changed there. All the boys were disgusted, and these were middle school boys. So they're around the ages of, 12 to 14 years old, somewhere around there. So a lot of the parents were speaking out about it, and they decided, you know what, we're just going to shut down all the locker rooms. They'll still attend gym, but they cannot change out of their stinky clothes. So if some of them were like sweating, they had to stay in these clothes. They couldn't, change into their regular clothes, couldn't change their shoes. It's sickening. But, the sickening part is it is a liberal school board, as you would say.
Yeah.
So I think it's time for us as, I wouldn't call myself a conservative. I would just call myself somebody with common sense.
There's not too many people like that anymore. There's not too many people with common sense nowadays, Moses, but.
Exactly. But I think it's time for a lot of people with common sense to run for these school boards. I'm considering running for my school board. I mean, our town is relatively conservative. This situation took place in a different town, but it's not that far from us.
Yeah.
So, it's crazy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Moses, for calling in. And I'm praying for your school, for your school area, your school board, and that you guys can get some people with common sense on there. And I'm praying for those girls that have to not be able to change because of the policies that they're putting into place.
Absolutely. God bless you, Kev. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course. Of course. I believe I have another caller on the line as well. Caller, are you there?
Hey, Kev.
Yep. How's it going?
Good. I'm actually one of those parents for the school you're talking about.
Okay. I do have, I don't know if you can hear the music right now, but I'm going to keep you on. I have to take a quick break on the radio, but we're going to get you on in the next segment. And I'm so excited to be talking to you. And thank you so much for calling in. I'm just going to put you on hold real quick and we'll get you back.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, everybody. So we have a caller from the Homer Glen School District. I believe it's a mother of one of the students. Very excited to be talking to her. Stay tuned because we are going to talk to her in the next segment. Breakdown, and she's going to help me break down everything. I only know so much from perusing through social media, Facebook, and I guarantee you she has the facts, and she's probably ready to go speak at that school board meeting. And we got a mama bear on the line, everybody. Stay tuned for more of that on Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay, so I got that mom still on hold. Thank you so much for calling in. We got our break, and thank you for the Pennsylvania caller as well, Moses. I appreciate it. Let's get to some comments here. This is a spicy show, everybody. And I thank everybody for being here today. Don't forget, if you're new to the show or anything, like, subscribe, and share this with everybody. Because this is the thing, is like, this is a national issue. And I'm not happy that it's happening, but I'm happy we have a community of strong people that are willing to stand up against this, because I'm only 22, you know, I don't have kids in this school system, but I will one day. And so we need to fight today to make sure that it's going to, sorry, I just got a text from one of my guests later, a teacher that actually attended the schools excuse me, attended the school district in question. Not the school itself, but he is a current teacher that used to attend that school district. But I got the mom up next. And oh my gosh, this is a great show. Thank you everybody for tuning in again. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. What is going on in our school systems? For everybody that's in right now, that's commenting and everything, thank you, Danny. I do wonder what these classmates think. Of course, I don't necessarily want to push anyone under 18 to come on this show and to put themselves out there like that. But if anybody does know a student, maybe probably not at the elementary school. I'm sorry. I don't want to. I think parents are a better advocate for an elementary age child than the kid himself. Simply, at least when it comes to putting themselves in the public eye through media. But if there's like a high school student or anything that is struggling with these kinds of things, I'd be more than willing to talk to them. Always have them reach out in any way. But we got the mother of someone, I believe, at the school that is calling in, and I'm very excited to be talking to her in this next segment. We'll be back here in just about 2 minutes. I am a busy man today. I've been learning about this story, and this kind of stuff really fires me up because they're coming after kids. I mean, we saw that Pride rally, right, in New York a few months ago. I believe this was a New York one where they said, we're here, we're coming for your children. Yeah. And then the media tried to play it off as, oh, it was just being satirical. It was just being satirical. No, they actually are. They actually are. And again, I have no problem. I have friends that are gay. I know a lot of people that very nice people. It's not about that. It's about young children being talked to about sexuality, period. When it comes to a lot of that kind of stuff. In this case, with this instance, with this teacher, is you have a teacher who has claimed violence, self-described as having a violent behavioral disorder, and yet, and has talked about it openly on their social media. And now they're getting hired. I also heard rumors that that this person was also fired from a previous job for having an inappropriate art assignment, and now gets hired again at a different school, despite having made an inappropriate art assignment with other students. Interesting. What is this? What is the hiring committee doing? Where do they? It's insanity. Thank you, Unconventional, for tuning in, DG. The issue is safety, and I believe this is the mother I'm about to talk to on the line. And this is her. Honestly, my next segment, her platform. Her platform. 30 seconds. We're coming back. Hey, Bloomington Normal. Welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. I'm your host, Kev Phares, and wow, this has been a busy show. I have people in the chat blowing up talking about all these insane stories that we've heard of woke schools, woke school districts, and specifically this story that is developing out of Homer Glen, Lockport, Illinois, in which in their school district they have a teacher that is a self-reported Satanist. And along with that has posted about F the police, all that kind of stuff. But Okay, we could even write that off as free speech, but then has also talked about being violent due to their mental illness. And I don't want to shame anybody with mental illness, but I do want to shame the school board that would allow somebody who is openly violent with a behavioral disorder and allowing that to be a teacher of elementary school children. On the line, as they have a school board meeting tonight to discuss this issue, a special school board meeting specifically for this issue. On the line, I have a mother, I believe, of someone on the, or of a mother of a child within this school. You still there? Hello? Okay, I might have lost the mom. I don't have, if you are still listening though, mom, I would love for you to call back in. I'm listening for you. I'm trying to, I've got my board and everything set up. So if you are still out there listening, would love to have you on, to talk. Sorry that we had to take the break on the radio. That's the way radio goes. But I'd love to have you on to talk more about this. And so please call in. But here's the thing, when we're talking about this story, I'm going to keep watching the phone line in case she calls. But here's the thing when it comes to this story, is there's a few things. So first off, my question is, what is this school's hiring process, right? What is the school's hiring process to where you allow a person that is openly violent and having this mental illness and also reportedly has been fired from a previous position for inappropriate conduct with students? How do you get them here? So here's the thing. So there's either one of two things is true here. Either first, the district did not do their due diligence while hiring to vet the history of this teacher, their social media posts, etc. Or the district was well aware of this person's history and they simply didn't care. They didn't think the parents would care, or they hoped that you, as a parent, would be too stupid to look into it. That's what they were hoping for. It's either that, or they're just not good enough at their jobs to vet this teacher. Which is crazy to me, because in the digital age that we currently live in, again, as a marketing major, I get professors all the time saying, watch what you post on social media. And it's not even like, they're not even thinking like, oh, hopefully you don't post like about Satanism and highly controversial things. No, they're like, hey, make sure you don't talk too much about like going out and drinking, like little things like that are relatively common for some college students. No. And so this guy gets into this role as an elementary school art teacher, despite all of this controversy. And I'm still waiting if that mom's still out there listening, calling. If any of you are a parent of a child within that school district, that school system, please call in at 309-451-9299. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, I'd love for you to call in. If you're in Bloomington Normal and you have any stories similar to this of a woke school board member, or teachers that have been in some way inappropriate, please text or call in at 309-451-9299. But I got my buddy right here. He's been on the show a lot of times. I'm going to bring him on right now. Josh Bender, who's a teacher, as well as he is also a former attendee of this school district. Josh, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's good. I'm facing a hurricane, but it is what it is.
It is. You live in Nevada now, where you guys had of Hurricane Hillary, and apparently it's not Hillary Clinton. I thought it might be, but it's not.
Might as well be with the destruction it's causing,
Yeah. Well, so okay, Josh. So you're a teacher, right? And we're talking about all these different woke things in education and teachers. And again, if you are one of the parents, I know I missed that mom. Sorry that there was a glitch or whatever, but please call back in at 309-451-9299. But Josh, you're a teacher. I want to talk a little bit. When you were hired, because I just laid out like all the problems with this, because I don't blame this person with mental illness. I feel bad for them. I'm praying for them that they get the help that they need. But the people that I blame are the hiring committee, the school board, and everybody along the way that said, oh yes, this person should be allowed to teach at this school. Talk to me about when you were hired as a teacher. And again, this is Nevada, some different policies and stuff, but relatively same idea. What did you have to go through to get hired?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long process, and it should be. So obviously I'm out of state. So it started with a career fair at ISU where I talked to a representative from the school for 10 minutes or so.
That's Illinois State University, just for everybody out there.
Yes, Illinois State University. Yes. Liked what they had to say, shot him an email that night. Within a day, they responded. Then a couple days later, the principal texted me personally. We set up an online meeting. So we met online. I met with principal and the assistant principal and a couple other people. A couple questions back and forth. We then did the pre-interview process, which was basically they give me prompts. I record myself answering the questions. That goes to their interview board. Then I did my formal interview about a week later. Did my formal interview with everyone. Again, I was not on that interview because I'm away. So did my formal interview. They offered me the job. I was out here for a trip, and then I visited the school, and then I accepted the job a couple weeks later. It was about a 4-week turnaround for that part. But then after accepting, there's all the pre-job things like drug testing and background checks, fingerprinting, all that. And so I had to do all that. And I mean, the background check itself was an FBI background check. I had to print out an FBI document, go to my police station. They fingerprinted me. I took that. I sent it in to get background check. They sent the background check to the school. So it's an FBI background check. I mean, that's pretty thorough.
Yeah. And now that you're in the classroom, in your school, I'm just curious because again, you teach in Nevada. Do you guys have, because this is another obvious issue that's been coming up a lot. Do you guys have pride flags or anything like that, like hanging around your school? Like, can you tell me a little bit more about if politics makes its way into the classroom in any way?
So, I mean, not really. I mean, we have a GSA, which is a Gay Straight Alliance. Most schools have that, as some.
And you're high school too, so like I mean,
yeah, I'm high school. It's older, it's older kids, and so they understand, where they're at a little more. So kinda, I know we have Nevada has a policy about name changes regarding switching genders. It is allowed if the parent approves. So the parent and the student have to go to the school and basically make a plan and put it into the system. That's Nevada state law.
Gotcha.
And so so that's how that works there even.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so obviously, so you have to go through an extensive background check, assuming that, and I even see I have a commenter here, Pam, who's from the Bloomington Normal area, and she says as a substitute they do a background check, fingerprinting, et cetera. And she's from Illinois, so I assume that would be similar to how it is in Illinois. So I assume, because I listed two possibilities. I said either one, the school and district did not do their due diligence in vetting this person, or two, they knew all of this potential controversy and decided to ignore it.
Right.
And so it would seem likely that it was number two. And so that's the more egregious offense in my opinion, because that basically says, parents, we think you're stupid, or parents, we think you'll have no problem with somebody who is self-described as violent.
Well, and that's my main concern, and I think this is kind of how I've taken this. I go, if they want to have their own politics and beliefs, they can. If they're posting on their private social media about that, that's fine. If it's out of the classroom, I mean, there's plenty of teachers I'm sure I didn't agree with that they didn't bring it into the classroom, though. We would have known. My main concern is the fact that she posted that he had posted it was a violent incident. He had a violent incident regarding a mental health. And again, I feel for that person with the mental illness. I hope they get recovery. I hope they're doing okay. But that's a problem. If there is in any way a police report about that, that would be in their record. So either it wasn't reported, and it just wasn't, and the police police don't know, they can't put it in there, or this was somehow hidden behind a private social media. In which case, I want to know how someone found this. So I mean, there's a lot of questions there. Even my main thing is the safety aspect, because teaching is a stressful job.
Yeah.
Incredible. My first year, I was this, how stressed I was. I was long hours, lack of sleep. As soon as you go, you forget to eat, you skip meals into bed because you're so focused on the job. It's a lot of work. Even my second year, it's a little better, but there's still a lot of stress. If this is a mental illness, and we know stress can exacerbate those mental illnesses, there could be a snap. And if that's in the classroom around kids, that's a serious concern.
No, absolutely. I'm seeing here in the parents group that I am a part of, a very smart parent went and did a FOIA request for some information on the teacher known as Christopher Martin. And so some of the things that were asked in this is, when did Mr. Martin start working for District 33C? And that was just actually about 6 days ago now. The contract began on August 14th. This person has a bachelor's in science and fine arts, making him an art teacher and everything. board members that voted yes. So the board members specifically had to vote for this person to be hired, and they list the board members that voted yes on this. So very interesting. So that's probably going to be a big part of this meeting tonight, is the fact that they will be specifically, you'll have parents that are specifically reckoning with the board members that voted for this person to be hired. Interesting. The contract is only a year long, will end next May. And the background check, this is one of the most interesting things that I see here. The background check that is done for this district's employees is not FBI. It's Illinois State Police. So if this person did anything outside of the state,
right,
it might not show up on that background check.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
And so this is what's going on in this school district, everybody. And so it could be a due diligence issue just as much.
And I think that shows what's going on in the state. I mean, I think the state is so focused on not offending people and not, that they put safety and basic decency aside. That's so dumb. It's one reason I left this state and I didn't want to teach there, because I just felt it was not, I couldn't do it in good conscience, do it. And again, I came out of this district. I'm a student of this district, the elementary school, Butler Elementary. I went there. I know about this district. I had amazing experiences there and amazing teachers. And it's sad that this is what now is being talked about. I mean, it's putting shame on this district.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Well, we are about to come up to a break here, and then we're going to hit the hard hour after the next segment. But everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning in so far. We're going to keep covering more about just what's going on in our school systems. If you have any stories of personally things that have gone on in your school district, specifically if it's in Bloomington Normal, if you are a listener or a viewer that is from the Homer Glen Lockport area in which this controversy specifically is steeped, please text or call in at 309-451-9299. I want to hear from you. I was supposed to have a mom on earlier. We must have got disconnected. If you are still watching, I'd love for you to call in 309-451-9299. This is your platform. This show is called Speechless because there are people that are not able to speak on these issues. I mean, you are getting a lot of these parents right now that are trying to speak up on social media are getting censored in their Facebook groups. They're getting censored. That is awful. And so if you want an opportunity to be able to share your piece, be able to defend yourself, when I guarantee you that the school board meeting tonight, they're only going to give you at max 3 minutes, and they're going to do everything to cut you off, because these are people that voted for this teacher that you are going against. This satanic and self-described violent teacher. They will try to cut you off. And so if you want an opportunity to share your piece 100% in full, please text or call in at 309-451-9299. But in the meantime, we got to take a break here on Speechless on the radio, on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay, Joshy boy.
What's up?
I'm going through comments here. I got fired up about this, man.
Can I respond to a comment?
Yes, which one?
It's that C dog.
Oh, mental illness. This one, yeah, I was thinking about responding to that one as well.
Yeah, man. Listen, most of Gen Z and millennials have some sort of mental illness, including myself. I have ADHD. I've had anxiety for a lot of my life. I'm a teacher. It doesn't make me dangerous. There are certain things that are dangerous. I think
there's a middle ground on this one, because it's mental illness will need to be it needs to be discussed in schools 100% because of the way, and obviously there's an age appropriate way to talk about
exactly
mental illness. But like you said, I believe it's 57% of Generation Z is in some way struggling with some level of it's like depression, anxiety are like the top ones. But and part of me believes that some of that is overdiagnosing. But potentially. But I do see, and so I think that there's a middle ground, and I understand where you're coming from, C-Dog. And I think there's a middle ground on there, but I also see that you live in Lockport. If you're interested in calling in and sharing your piece, and talking a little bit more about what your beliefs are on this specific issue, if you have any other light to shed on the issue of this teacher, I'd love to hear your piece. 309-451-9299 is that number. I'll put it up on the screen. So if you need the reminder, 309-451-9299. This is your like you said, you'll not be silenced. And I'm not trying to silence anybody here. Just if you're going to call in, keep it clean. There's George Carlin's 7 dirty words. Stay away from any of those, and we'll be good.
Basically, yeah.
But I
Man,
don't know.
this was so weird seeing this on like libs of TikTok because I'm like, man,
Because
I
this
know
is
this
your school,
district.
and that's what I want to
This is
talk
my school
about
district.
in the
Yeah.
next. That's what I want to talk about because it's a short segment in the next segment. And so talking about how it hits home with you, because obviously you have kind of an expertise in the fact that you are an educator yourself. But I want to talk about you being you just being an also former member of this community, still kind of a member of this community. Your family still lives
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So,
No,
and
for
I'm sure,
sure.
do
Well,
you have maybe not at that school specifically, but do you have like family friends that are still in like the high school system and or even younger?
yeah, yeah. I know people who still go there and who are still
Hmm.
interacting there. You know, I know I know teachers still there.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah,
We still got a few more minutes. Let's see.
yeah,
Always keep the chat going, guys. And if you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and share for a lot of content like this, where I'm always trying to find the stories that it seems like maybe a lot of people won't cover. I'm willing to bet after tonight, though, this will be a big story.
yeah. I mean, it's already being
Seeing how
picked
this
up.
meeting goes.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how this meeting goes, I mean, the fact that they changed the day is
Yeah, it
it's.
seems really odd. It seems Lockport resident here. I do not care if he's gay. His mental instability is very concerning.
Mhm.
Um, this is the
Which I think,
reason I homeschool my daughter. Interesting. Nicole, I'd love for you to call in and talk about homeschooling as well. Obviously, the issue in and of itself, I'd love for you to talk about, but if you would, I'd love for an advocate for homeschooling to call in too and talk a little bit about that, especially because we
yeah,
have a public school teacher that's talking right here. And so having,
yeah, exactly. Oh, please, yeah,
yeah.
I love that, and I like that the fact, yeah, we I don't care that this person's gay or LGBTQ. It's the mental instability. I think
Mhm.
that's my biggest concern.
Yeah, this issue specifically doesn't revolve nearly as much around the whole gay stuff. I have a little bit, I'd have an issue personally. I wouldn't take it necessarily to the point of saying this person needs to be fired with the Satanist piece and everything like that.
No, no,
I'd pull my kid out of the class just for that, but that'd be a personal decision and personal belief rather than,
right,
but
right,
the violent, but the self-described violent behavior makes it a major safety concern. And the fact,
exactly.
and again, I don't, I really don't blame this teacher at all. I think this
No,
teacher is actually as much of a victim in any of this as anybody else because this person should not have been hired in the first place. Period.
yeah, I mean, shame on the superintendent in the school district. I mean, there's a reason the school district was people tried to fire the whole entire school district a couple years ago, or last year. It failed. And do you know what? Elections have consequences, and now we're seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the big thing is we're seeing that. And I hope people actually learn something. I'm fired up too. This is
Yeah,
this is what gives public school a bad name too, and I think that's the worst thing.
absolutely. Well, and there's a lot of stories like this. I just got a text. I'm going to read it on air from a Bloomington individual. I'm keeping it anonymous. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to share this story that's local.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's more of this.
We're coming back here in about 5 seconds, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share. And if you have a story about any of this kind of wokeism in schools, about this story specifically in Lockport, please text or call in at 309-451-9299, 309-451-9299. And we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, whether that's on your radio, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter. I really appreciate it. We're fired up today here. I got my good buddy Josh Bender with me as well, talking about wokeism in schools, and not even just wokeism at this point, just safety concerns from schools and school boards that seem not to care about students. I'm really interested into how this Lockport one went through. And we're going to talk more about that story, but I also got a text. I'm keeping the texter anonymous. But thank you very much for texting in. Anybody can text or call in at 309-451-9299 and let me know your stories about school districts, school boards that seem to not care about parents, parental thoughts, parental rights, and even wokeism. And as a broad statement being pushed in our schools. This texter sent in and said, about 2 years ago, a female kindergarten teacher at Pepper Ridge in Bloomington went by MX, not Miss, because female and male. They're not sure if that person is still there, but it was a kindergarten teacher. Once again, it's incredibly, we have kindergarten teachers. I talked about that one in California at the beginning of the show who had a t-shirt that said, education is activism. No, That's not how it is.
Yeah,
And
I
kindergarten,
don't know what that means.
yeah, exactly. Kindergarten students, you don't need to be exposing them to these irrational, just crazy ideologies that just make it so much more confusing for a young child trying to navigate the being 5 years old, 6 years old in and of itself. Teach them what a triangle is. Don't try to push all this gender and ideology and random ideologies onto them. But I got my good buddy Josh Bender in here. We've been talking about this Homer Glen Lockport teacher who was hired despite a self-proclaimed history of violence due to mental illness, along with consistently preaching Satanism, having obscene public posts on Facebook and Instagram. Josh, we've talked about you as a teacher, and we're going to talk more about that throughout the rest of the show. But in this segment, can you just speak to you've been a member of this community. This is where you grew up. You went to schools within this school district. How does this make you feel as a member of that community?
I mean, it makes me feel ashamed. I can think back to going to school at, the middle schools in the junior high, especially. I have teachers there that I looked up to and who helped me be a teacher, and I still look up to. I emailed a couple of them last year and said, "Hey, thank you for helping me be a teacher. This is, I still use your lessons." It's shameful to see. I love that district. That district was amazing. I can't speak highly about my high school overall, and I talked about that, but my elementary school, my middle school, I loved it. And this is just it's such a shame to see.
Absolutely. I have a caller on the line, and I want to make sure I get to everybody that's calling. Caller, you're on with Cav on Cities 92.9. May I ask who's calling?
This is Nicole.
Hey, Nicole, how's it going?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing good. What are you thinking about what we're talking about here today? You're a Lockport resident, and you homeschool your daughter, correct?
Yes, I've been homeschooling her since 2019, since all the COVID stuff happened. And it has been, honestly, before this, I would have never even guessed that I would homeschool my daughter. I never thought I had the patience. I never thought I had it in me, but it has been, honestly, it's been a blessing, because now she's got a 3 almost a 4.0.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Grade average, and she is knocking out her schoolwork every single day. It takes her, maybe the most 2 hours to do her work. She does math, science, language arts, social studies. She does 2 lessons of each per day, and she does it in under 2 hours. You cannot do that in any type of public school.
No, not at all. And we are going to come up to the end of the hour on the radio here, but I do want to make sure I keep you through the break. Are you okay with staying through the break, staying on hold? I just want to talk a lot more about homeschooling and how you got into that, and because I know it's a big feat, and I'm an advocate for people taking alternative routes to education. So is that all okay?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on hold, and we'll take you through the next segment. Thank you so much for calling in, Nicole. Anybody else, if you have something to say about this, feel free to go onto our social media on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and leave it in the comments. You could also text or call in at 309-451-9299. We have to take our hour break, so it's a little bit longer, but we will still be live on all those social media platforms. We'll be right back with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay. Josh, I still got you there. I think I'm actually going to be able to do this. Give me a sec. I think I can get Nicole. Are you still there?
Yep.
Okay. So I have you on our live streams and stuff, not live on the radio right now.
Gotcha.
But I figured it'd still be a great opportunity to talk a little bit more. Because obviously I have a packed show today with so many people that have been so gracious enough to share their experiences and
Awesome.
and honestly vent a little bit as well. But so homeschooling, there's a lot to break down here, but first I want to start off with the controversy.
Yes.
So how happy are you that this honestly will not affect you in any way because you made the decision to homeschool?
You know what? I am happy, but I'm not really that happy because it is still my community, and I still freaking pay taxes here. I still have to pay taxes even though I homeschool, and homeschooling, it could be cheap. but keeping up with activities and stuff, it gets expensive,
Yeah.
But I mean, if you want to keep your kids active and social, like I have her in co-ops. I run a co-op from my house, and I, she's in gymnastics, and now we want to put her in martial arts, and it's a lot, but it's totally worth it. Honestly, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. And so what drove you? I mean, there's usually a tipping point for a lot of people, and I know you briefly mentioned COVID. Was that what drove you to pursue homeschooling? Obviously, it's a daunting task, but tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, COVID, 100%. That is exactly what pushed us into homeschooling. And then after that, it pretty much was, our needs they're not going to be met doing public school. People are like, oh, but don't you want to socialize her? No, I don't. Sitting her in a desk all day, staring at a teacher all day long, that's not socializing to me. Especially for my child. She's so hyper and very outgoing, and to tell her, sit there, shut your mouth and listen to the teacher, like no, it doesn't work that way for her.
No,
other
absolutely.
kids, fine, it works for them, but not for us. She's very active, and I don't have to deal with controversy, and it seems like a lot of these parents are sticking up for this guy. A lot of them are against him. I think more are against it. And it has nothing to do, for me personally, it has absolutely nothing to do with him being gay at all.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with that. What got me was that, when that post that he posted, and I looked at his profiles, like they are real. They are linked to his Instagram. They're linked to 2 other Facebooks. Like those were his. It seemed like it, allegedly. But I'm sure that they will do an investigation, and if they don't, parents are not going to be happy about that, and their parents are not just going to lay down and let it happen. I really, really hope they do not.
Absolutely, and I'm really happy to see. I mean, from the Facebook groups and posts that I've been able to see, it seems like a lot of people are up in arms, and rightfully so, and standing up for their kids. And I really loved it. It's something that I'm not happy that we're in the situation at all, but I'm happy to see that we have parents that feel strong enough to be able to go against the bureaucracy and the entitlement that is often felt and expressed by school boards. So
right. And it seems to me. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
Keep going. This is you. This is all you.
But it seems to me like people are just using the excuse, like, oh, you're just doing that because he's gay. It's like, no, that has the majority of us, the people on the right, whatever, most of us, we just want what's right for our kids. Like, we don't care what you're doing in the bedroom, guys. Like, keep it in the bedroom. Am I affectionate? And do I post pictures of myself, like intimate like that with a gun coming out of my crotch? No, I don't.
No.
If you want to be a
teacher, it's not normal. It is not normal. It wouldn't be normal. It wouldn't be normal for, I mean, any other profession, but especially not an elementary school teacher.
Right.
And I get it. You're an art teacher, so like you're gonna be a little bit more out there and maybe a little bit more zany, but still, this is elementary school.
Right.
And that's the image that you're presenting to the world.
Yeah. And okay, so I applied to be a teacher at a co-op, and you know what a co-op is? It's where
it's like a homeschool, but you have a lot of people come together and
right for like once a week. Well, I applied, and in there it said that they do social media background checks.
Good.
So and I'm like, okay, I gotta watch my language on my posts.
Absolutely.
If they're doing that, then why can't this, superintendent who makes over $150,000 a year, why can't he do that? Like, these people who are running this co-op from a church, who are not making, thousands of dollars, they can do it, but the school cannot do it. That just doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely. And that's why I think it seems as though they probably did see some of this stuff, but they simply didn't care or thought that, well, people asked for an art teacher. We need an art teacher. And so we're just going to hope the parents don't figure this out.
Right. And, and my question is, was that job posted publicly?
Mm-hmm.
Or did somebody just get the job? Like, I'm an artist. I can be an art teacher.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
Absolutely. All right. We're going to come back. I got to come back on the radio here in just about 15 seconds, but I just want, I would like for the beginning of this segment, just to give me your best pitch for homeschooling. I'd really appreciate that.
Oh, when you come back?
Yep. In like 15 seconds here. Awesome. And we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. The big question of today being, who is teaching your kids? Because there's been a big controversy in Lockport, Homer Glen, Illinois, regarding a teacher who is self-described on social media as violently mentally ill. That's paraphrasing it a little bit, but due to their mental illness, he has said that he has had violent outbursts. And a lot of, along with other controversy regarding posts preaching Satanism, anti-police, things and such as that. But the biggest thing is questioning the safety of our children in schools. This is an elementary school art teacher. I have a parent on the line, Nicole, who is a member of the Lockport community, but homeschools her daughter. We were talking with her at the end of the last segment and throughout our time on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. But Nicole, still with me just to end out your call, because I really appreciate your time, everything that all the insight that you've been able to give me. Why should people be homeschooling their children? It's obviously a major daunting task and seems like it's going to be really difficult. Give your best pitch for everybody out there. Why homeschooling, co-ops, and an alternative education is the best option?
Well, in my opinion, it is the best option for us because we're able to knock out her education so quickly throughout the day, where she's not sitting at a desk for hours and hours all day long. And, for me, kids that young, they should be at home spending more time with their family, where you have no control where your kids are going during the day, like in school, like who they're around and who is persuading them, who is influencing them. You just don't have any control over that. And you can control it to a point. You don't want to seclude them entirely, but homeschooling is, you get to control what they're learning. They're not confined in a small area at their desk. They don't have to sit and be quiet. They get to be kids. They get to live their lives. They get to have a bigger imagination. They get to have more freedom. And, I would have never imagined myself homeschooling ever in my life. I never thought I had the patience, but it's worked out for us. Like I said before, my daughter, she does her schooling. She does 2 subjects, 2 lessons of each subject: math, science, language arts, social studies. She does 2 subjects each day. She knocks it out in under 2 hours versus being at school, being home away from home for, 7 hours a day. And it's crazy. They're gone from like 7 in the morning till like 3:30 in the afternoon away from their family.
And then if they have anything after school or like a soccer practice or a club or anything, keeps them away even longer. Absolutely.
Right, exactly. So now, because we're homeschooling, we have more time for extracurricular activities like gymnastics and dance and martial arts and stuff like that. And, more really recently, my nephew, he's 16, he just started homeschooling, but he is focused on his career now. So he's going to be a hockey player. And now, because he's homeschooling, he can focus on his career and knock out his schoolwork just in a couple hours a day and then get back onto his career instead of being, sat at a desk all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be a lot more mentally stimulating, I'm sure.
Yes.
100%. Well, exactly. I just have one, it's kind of a 2-part question just to finish out. So, obviously your nephew was in public school before, I'd assume, and your daughter was also in public school before being homeschooled.
Yep.
Do they seem happier now than when they were in a public school?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because she's surrounded with people who aren't going to torment her and aren't, because you get a lot of bullying in school. I was terribly bullied when I was in school.
Yep.
And, I get to protect, and that changes you. It really does. When you're bullied a lot, it changes your future. It changes your outlook on life, your mind frame. It gives, it just does nothing but tear you down. And so now you surround yourself with positive people, positive peers, and you don't have to worry about that. So I'm hoping it works out for us in the long run.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for calling, Nicole, and sharing your story, your insight, your wisdom. God bless you. God bless your family. And I'm praying for all of you guys over in Lockport right now.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course. Of course. Thank you again, everybody. That was Nicole. Nicole is a mother of a girl in Lockport. They're members of the Lockport community where they're steeped in all of this controversy regarding this teacher that is self-proclaimed violent due to mental illness, along with other sketchy, to say the least, social media posts.
Sketchy, yeah.
Sketchy to say a little bit. I have Josh Bender with me right now, my good friend and a teacher. Figured I'd bring him on due to the fact that he is an educator himself and a former resident of the Lockport Homer Glen area, member of that school district when he did live there. But Nicole had a lot of great things to say about homeschooling. Josh, you are a public school teacher in Nevada now. You went through public school all the way through your undergrad. I want to talk to me a little bit more about the way that you see, because you're a historian, you are a history teacher, you obviously know a good amount about politics as well through a lot of activism and such. What do you see in our public school system that is driving people to, obviously we've talked about some of the controversies, but do you see people even in your area going to homeschool? What do you have to say about homeschooling being on kind of the other side of that? Not necessarily argument, because you're not against homeschooling.
Right. No, I'm not against it. Yeah, I mean, I think Nicole had very valid points. You sit in the desk and it's sit down and shut up and this and that. I get that, and that's why I tried to not make that my classroom. I tried to make my classroom a place to. I teach social studies. The first half of that is social, and there needs to be some social aspects to that. And I'm very, very, very open with talking in the appropriate manner, having conversations, creativity. I was teaching in world history, going through how the religion started and how they came out of the fall of Rome. And I said, all right, now you're going to make your own religion about something. And superheroism and like basketballism. It's like, that's awesome, because it's just getting them to think. A little bit more. And that's what I like to do, is these projects and these activities where you're seeped into it. And I love that. I mean, I think that's so important. And that's what more teachers need to start doing, is getting them involved instead of just throwing words at them and throwing things at them and hoping they remember. No, get them involved in actually doing the learning, be a part of the learning. And that's like, all these people moving to homeschooling. I think in addition to school boards that aren't listening to parents or acting like parents are somehow less than them, or in any way, well, you don't know, you haven't been in the school. I will give you, most school board members have not been involved in a school. They've not been teachers. They've not been admin. They have been nothing. Most. So you have nothing. You don't know what you're talking about either. And even then, I don't think being involved makes you more able to speak about it. Everyone's experience is different. I wouldn't consider myself an expert in education by any means. I have my experiences. I have things I know. I'm not an expert. So I think we're going to see a rise of homeschooling happen even more, especially as this stuff gets exposed. Public schools are starting to go down. That's why school choice is also on the rise, including here in Nevada. They're talking about increasing school choice.
Yeah, I subscribed to this thing called Upward News, and I got an email today from them saying that school choice is becoming a much larger topic to discuss. And I think a lot of it has to do with, because school choice is a little bit different from necessarily, obviously you could always choose to homeschool or to go to a co-op, but like Nicole said, she is still paying taxes that is going to that school district, that public school district. School choice makes it so that you can kind of, your child can have a better opportunity if you have 30, 40 minutes away, a school or district that is much more, that aligns with the way that you see the world a little bit more, or is just simply better. There can be opportunities in which not only can your child go there, your tax money can go there as well. And it is on the rise. You're right. A lot of people are advocating for that a lot more,
Yeah.
specifically because there's all these, you have school boards. And I think this is what one thing that you touched on, and I touched on it with Nicole as well, that act like they are in some way better or superior.
Right.
And I think a lot of that comes with the simple fact of it's an elected position. But
Mhm.
what really needs to happen, and parents are really fighting for it, especially in this instance in Homer Glen and Lockport. But we saw it a lot throughout COVID as well, even in Bloomington Normal, where I am, where you have school boards which are not trying to work with parents. They're working as opposites. And that's not the way that it's supposed to be. You're supposed to
Right.
it's supposed to be a parent and board, parent teacher kind of. I mean, obviously school boards aren't necessarily, those are parents in and of themselves usually. And it's supposed to be, let's work together to make the schools that we want to see. But
Exactly.
instead what we have is we have school boards that are making the schools that they want and not taking into account anybody else's opinion.
Right.
And
Right.
then you have and it's very honestly, part of it is kind of reflective of government as a whole, just that's at a very local level. But then you could bring in the idea of the larger government, where you have politicians, the rich men north of Richmond, which
There you go.
we've heard a lot, that will do what they can to enrich themselves, to make the world that they want for themselves, but not care at all about what their constituent, the people that voted them into office, want and need.
Well, exactly. I mean, exactly, and that's part of the problem.
Mhm.
That's why I encourage, if you are still in public school, because I do think public school is good. I obviously, as a public school teacher, I think it's good. But be involved. Be
Yeah.
involved. Email your teacher. Call the parents who email me and call me are never a bother. It's so great. It's nice to hear, hey, you know what's going on? Why is my student failing, or what's going, I like that. Please do that. Be involved. That makes it so much easier for you. And then there's that communication too, so that
Well, yeah, because like if
I'm not
something's
being
going on at home, like if I remember when my grandmother passed when I was in high school, my mom
yeah
gave the school a courtesy call, and they were able to, and the school was then able to let my teachers know, because of the information that was presented from my mom, that my grandmother had passed away. And
yeah
so
and-
so then I was pulled out of school and everything, but they were able to handle it in a good way, instead of like, had I come to school and been moody or something, and they just be like, hey,
right
stop being a little a-hole. They
right no no exactly.
they understand, and it gives context, and it's working with the parent, it's working with the family, working with the student. And I get it. A lot of teachers are stressed. Good teachers are stressed because right now we have, I mean, you've seen it, especially since COVID, there's been a decline in students. Well, how would you describe it? But you know what I'm trying to say, right? You could
They're
probably,
they
behavioral problems are on the rise.
Yeah, behavior problems, and they understand that a lot of these schools are just giving band-aid solutions, and they will just pass you to get you out. And they're aware of that. Kids are really smart, and they know this. And so there was a lack of motivation. And I'm starting to see a turnaround, which is great. I'm actually really excited for that. My kids this year are pretty motivated, which I love. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely a part of it. And to your point too, one of the first things I tell on my first day, I tell my students, hey, if something's going on at home, I can't read your mind, please talk to me.
Yeah.
Please tell me. I will happily work with you. And I already had people come to me and say, hey, you know what? Dad's in surgery. Uncle passed away, this and that. I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry to hear that. I know we're working on this. Please take your time. Or if you need an extra day, please let me know. I understand. And that's great. I mean, that's good that they feel comfortable enough to tell me. But I'm like, you need to tell me, because I can't read your mind. That's the difference. I can't read your mind.
Absolutely. Schooling needs to be a team effort. They always say it takes a village, right? Well, you want to know who's in that village. You want to know what those villagers are telling your kids, and talking to them about and where they came from. But apparently school boards don't necessarily want it to be that way. And that's why there is all this division. But guys, we got to take a break here on the radio. I'm getting calls. I know I'm going to take those during the break, see what it is, see what we can talk about on the air. If you have anything to say when it comes to education, the state of our education, if you're from Homer Glen or Lockport and you're watching right now and you have more to add regarding the controversy that's going on, before I believe their meeting starts in about 40 minutes. If you have anything to add, please call in at 309-451-9299. You can text too. I did get a text here. We'll read that in the next segment. We'll be right back with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay, everybody. Josh, I want to know if you can help answer this question. I got to turn my mic off. I got to take this call real quick, see who it is. But
Yeah, go for it. Some states have more strict standards than others. I know, like Illinois, I think has pretty strict standards of things they need to pass and things they need to do. So it's kind of different. I wish I could give you a better answer. I just can't because it really just depends on where they are. But most of them work with, there's like different organizations that usually say, okay, here's some, what the state requires and this and that. But yeah, every state is different, which makes education so crazy in itself because every state's so different.
Okie dokie. I am back. That was my good friend, Andrea. Andrea is a consistent listener of my show, Modern Renaissance Man, Ty Smith as well. And she called in. Obviously, she has some things to say about this. But I really wanted to keep the phone lines open for anybody if you're from the Homer Glen Lockport area, or if you have a story specifically regarding some abuse of a school board or inappropriate teachers, anything like that. But I do love your guys' opinions, especially in the chat. Keep going.
Yeah,
with that. Andrea, we'll get you in next week as well.
I like that comment from JD as well.
Which one?
In the past, that one. Yeah, I agree.
With the schools and the super.
That's actually one thing I loved is recently my school board fired their superintendent because their superintendent wasn't doing what he said he was going to do. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the most blatant acts of like, okay, we've had enough of you just pushing us around and asking for raises and then not doing what you were hired for. It was really cool. So I agree that's usually an issue. It's nice to see a school board actually stand up and say enough's enough. So, but absolutely, JD.
Absolutely. If there's any others, I'm just getting inundated with so many texts and stuff right now.
Busy man. I get it.
Well, this is a spicy show, and I appreciate everybody who's watching. And it's not. I mean, when I say it's spicy, there's a lot to break down here. And again, if you are from the area, Homer, Lockport, I want to hear your guys' opinions on this. So 309-451-9299 is the number to call in, be involved in the conversation. I heard a rumor that they're live streaming the board meeting.
I don't know. I think they are because they're public. So usually they do live stream them.
Okay. If anybody is out there, because I don't have anywhere to be after this. I just haven't really eaten today, but I can wait on that. If you know about them live streaming this specific board hearing, I will put the live stream on here and Josh and I will comment on it. If I can get that link. And the way that you could get me that link is by sending it to my Gmail, speechlesskp@gmail.com. Or if you have me on social media, any of those up there, you could send me a link through any of those. I'm watching all those, but we're going to come back here soon. But if anybody knows where that live stream link is, send it to me. If you have my phone number, if you're somebody that knows me like that, then you can shoot it to me in a text. And I'll pull it up and I'll stay on after my show's over and we can live stream it there.
I'll stay. I got nothing to do. So
sweet. All right. Let me get us back on the radio. Got enough hooks and bullets to last till 2085. I'm gonna thrive. That's one of my favorite songs by Miller Holler, and it speaks to just the fact that this world could be going to heck in a handbasket, and yet we can still find our way through it because the people that are listening, that my P1s is what is the radio term for the people that I know love to listen to Cities 92.9, are consistently watching on YouTube or Twitch, Facebook, anywhere like that. You guys know that we got the resources that no matter what happens, we can thrive. And one of the ways that the radical left and even just entitled establishment type people are holding us down is by depriving children of education through pushing of just meaningless stuff. What happened to reading, writing, and arithmetic? Right? We've been talking about this teacher from Homer Glen and Lockport that's been under a lot of scrutiny because of social media posts. Some are going after him because of social media posts that voice radical opinions such as extreme Satanism and F the police. But I don't see that as the biggest issue. Some people even are talking about the fact that this teacher might be a part of the LGBTQ community. Whatever. Just don't push it on my kids. That's the way I see it. The biggest issue with this teacher, though, is the fact that he is self-proclaimed violently mentally ill. And again, that's a paraphrasing. It said that he described as behavioral disorders and says that he has had violent episodes due to it. That's a safety concern for students right there.
Hey, Kev, actually, I just got a tip as well. So someone who's watching who sees, they said that 33C actually has a policy that does not allow them to look at social media profiles for when hiring faculty and staff, but they can use it to reprimand kids for their post.
So you're gonna be able to tell a student that he can't post something or he or she cannot post something, but a teacher is allowed to just go willy-nilly with whatever.
Right, and that's absolutely infuriating to me.
No, it is, because you as a teacher, you should be modeling the behavior that you would also want your students to model.
Right. I mean, and I remember us going through ISU, going through Illinois State, and they tried to attack us. They tried to get us reprimanded for what we posted on social media. I mean, how dare you? How absolutely dare you?
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Yep. And so Josh, you are a teacher, and maybe this is something that, because this is a shorter segment, but there was a teacher I brought up earlier, because I've been talking about a lot of different instances of either school board misconduct, teacher misconduct, and just the ways that our education system has become perverted in modern society to no longer focus on things that kids should actually learn. And there's a whole argument to be made as to whether or not that has to do with the fact that a dumb population will be easier to control. And maybe we get into that too. But there's so there's a teacher in California, and we've touched on it a little bit. And I showed the picture earlier. I'll show it on our live streams right now. You can go to YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, anything like that, and watch that there. But what I want to show is, so this picture is of a teacher that
I saw that.
Yeah, so educating is activism is what she is wearing. Educating is activism.
Right.
What does that mean?
I don't know, because I don't teach that way. I teach that here are the facts, here's what you need to do. I teach how to critically think, and if that means activism, then I guess by the definition, then fine. But I teach critical thinking. I teach that they shouldn't even take my word at face value. I say, hey, if you think I'm wrong about something, I want you to, or I'm wrong, please let me know. Respectfully let me know, because I think that's good that they are involved as well. And I know, and if I don't know something, I'm willing to say, you know what, let me look into that for you. I think that's the biggest thing. I'm not an activist by any means. I'm an educator. I teach critical thinking. That is my job. And so I mean, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous to see. And that's what Illinois tried to teach, was that, oh, educators should be activists. And I straight up called them out and said, absolutely not. We should not. And if you do that, shame on you. That's what, again, another reason I left.
Yeah. And so have you met teachers? Do you have teachers at your school that seem more like activist type teachers?
No, my school's pretty good. I know plenty of people I graduated with who were activist types, and we never got along, and I'm okay with that. I mean, they hated my guts, and that's fine.
Would you say, because you went through obviously school at Illinois State University, and we've talked sometimes on this show, sometimes off air, about the kinds of things you learned in certain classrooms. Do you think that the current state of educating educators, so becoming a teacher, and I still go to ISU, you went to Illinois State, being considered to be one of the best education schools in the country.
Right.
Do you feel like in any of those classes that you were in, they trained teachers to be activists?
Yep. And pretty much every single education class. And while student teaching, one book I had to read was This Book is Anti-Racist. And tell me about what they talk about in that book, just because I want to treat me like I'm an idiot and I don't know anything, because I am an idiot and I don't know anything. So, okay. So that book basically says that every single discrepancy in education in the society comes down to race. And because of that, we need to treat different races differently with equity. And so if a Hispanic student or a African-American student just doesn't do the work or can't respect the authority, you just let them go. You give them a pass. But if a white student were to do that, or an Asian student were to do that, you drop the hammer, because they are more privileged in society.
Oh, well, that's insane. We're going to talk more about that, but we got to take a break here on the radio. But we're going to, oh my gosh, that's insane. What we have going on in our society right now, in terms of not only school boards, but educators and the future generation of educators and what they're being taught. This is the dumbing down of America. It's idiocracy. And we're on our way to the collapse of civilization if we keep doing this kind of stuff. I'm just saying, I know it's a slippery slope, but we're going to talk all more about that in the next segment of Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington, Normal, and beyond. Okay. Off the radio. I see my anonymous source is sending me information about the. Okay. We're gonna react to this live stream then. If anybody is from the Homer area and you're watching, I will, after my radio show is done, we're gonna keep the live stream going because Josh is also available, and we're going to live stream the school board meeting and see. And so anybody, you guys, even if you're not from any of these areas, might be interesting to see exactly what this school board has to say to these parents and what the parents have to say to the school board, because this is a reckoning, everybody. This is a reckoning.
Yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous what is occurring, and I'm ashamed. I come from this district, and I speak so highly of it for most of my life, and now this is happening. And good on the parents who are stepping up and voicing their concerns.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm sure a lot of parents will be there, but if you're somebody who can't make it to the meeting or something, then we will live stream it here.
Yeah, I just got a 3-day weekend because tomorrow schools are closed because there's an emergency declaration for the flooding.
Oh yeah, you guys got like an inch of rain and all hell breaks
loose.
No,
2 to 5. Yeah, 2 to 5 with flash flooding. Yeah, flash
Our
flooding.
Farmers would love that here in Illinois.
I know, right? Yeah, no, flash flooding's pretty bad. So yeah, we don't. So I get the next day off. So I got nothing to do. Hopefully my internet and power don't die again like they did this morning.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, because I know that she has her radio show tonight. If Jeannie Ives if she'll be talking about any of this at all.
Oh yeah,
she has a radio show on Sunday evenings, and hers is I'm willing to bet, because my station does not reach as far north as Lockport, I don't believe, but Jeannie's I think would cover, because hers is on AM 560. So
yeah, and she's right there.
I saw somebody said my camera is blurry. Is it coming off blurry to you, Josh?
It's not bad.
Do I look cute?
Adorable. Nice haircut.
Thank you. I got it this week.
I could tell.
Josh has been, for anybody who might be like your first time coming in or anything, Josh has been like my best friend through college and everything. That's why we have this silly little banter. And we used to have a podcast together.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to him about that. I was like, we started
Pam
podcasting.
So sweet. Pam is such a nice person. I agree.
Pam. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be that nice to Kev.
I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, Pam went to college with my dad.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Still lives in Blue Hill.
Yeah, no, keep his ego in check. That's what I'm here for. But like,
no, but I appreciate everybody tuning in. Like I said, if this is your first time ever tuning in, I'd appreciate if you guys would like, subscribe, share, comment, anything like that. I try to make it so that the majority of my shows are in a way a conversation. Like I'll lead us through it, but I like all the ideas being presented. Check Cash David, how's it going, bud? Check Cash David had a birthday recently.
Oh, happy birthday!
Yep.
I say, Andrea, I saw you say that for civics you learned the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. I'm doing an entire 3 to 4 week unit just on the Constitution. So
the solution is simple. Pull your kids from public schools. If there are no kids to teach, then the schools close. Then no taxes. I wish.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, Pam partied with my dad. I wish I could bring you fudge. Bring me some fudge. Come on, please, Pam. I love your fudge. And she partied with my dad in the late 70s, early 80s. That's crazy. Yeah, I've heard some stories about my dad's party days.
I'm going to send you 2 pictures of the line going into the meeting. That's the one shared with me.
Okay. I also I'm ready for the live stream once the show's over. We got one more long segment and then a short segment where we'll talk more. What are these pictures from that you sent me? Oh, the line for the school board meeting.
Going into the school board meeting.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Can you email those to me, to Speechless KP, and I can.
You got it.
If anybody watching knows anybody that is at the school board meeting in that line, if you know anybody that is there and could have them call in, that'd be very appreciated. If anybody is watching.
What's the email? What's your email?
SpeechlessKP@gmail. I'll put it on screen too in case you need it. Or if anybody else wants to send me anything. I like memes too, if anybody wants to send me any memes.
There you go. Meme review.
Yep. We'll be back in about 15 seconds. Hey, and welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm your host, Kev Phares, 22-year-old conservative college student out of Central Illinois in Bloomington Normal. But you don't have to just be from Bloomington Normal to listen to this show, because we're covering issues that are not only just from here, but state, national, even sometimes international. But we've been talking all about education today, and I've been getting texts and texts and texts. There's a school board meeting being held tonight. It's a special school board meeting that's for one specific issue. And if you're just tuning in, I'll lay it out for you just briefly. There's a recently hired teacher in Homer Glen, Lockport, Illinois, that area in their district, 33C, is I believe like the shortened version of what they call it. And they hired a teacher that, look, I know this will make a lot of us mad, but it's not against the law. But this teacher has posted about being anti-police in very vulgar ways, has posted a lot of vulgar stuff on social media, but that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem that this teacher committed or has done is they self-proclaim on social media that they have severe behavioral mental illnesses and disorders that have led them to commit violent acts. Does not go into specific detail about what these violent acts are or anything, but this is a teacher, an elementary school art teacher. And so, look, I've said it before. I get it. Art teachers are usually a little bit more out there, but this is a way that threatens the safety of children. And so now there's a school board meeting that'll be happening at 5 p.m. Today, especially just for parents to talk about this. I know I've had a lot of parents watching in my live stream about this issue. If you are one of those parents, we have 20 minutes left in the show. Feel free to text or call in at 309-451-9299. Or if you are a member of the local community in Bloomington Normal, and you know of instances in which school boards have grossly mishandled their power, teachers have grossly mishandled their power, feel free to text or call in. I've been getting some very lengthy texts from some that are from the Lockport area. One of which being a parent. This is, again, I'm keeping names for the most part out of this. But Homer Lockport resident with children in 33C, the school board is so afraid of being sued by both parties, the teachers or the parents. They won't take a stand. The same thing happened during COVID when the district played it, quote, safe and wouldn't allow our kids back in school for the longest time, much longer than the other local districts like Lamont or Palos, who were back in 5 days a week, months and months before 33C district. The school board doesn't have a backbone. I believe my children are getting a great education, but the very small minority of the extreme liberals once again are being protected. Very interesting. I have Josh Bender on the line with me, a teacher in Nevada, also former resident of Lockport and Homer Glen, who went to schools within this district. Josh, what do you think about that text that I just read from that parent?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. Actually, someone just told me that over 100 parents are there so far, which is wonderful. I mean, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think overall it is a great district, and they do give amazing education. Obviously, I was educated out of there. I advocate for it, but I think some of these school board members are afraid. They're afraid of being attacked. They're going to be attacked by one side or the other, so they just go with I guess the safest bet, or what they felt was the safest bet. But I mean, like Bud Light's been proving, like Target, like all these woke companies are proving, we've had enough as Americans, and so we are finally stepping up and saying enough.
Absolutely. And I just pulled up on screen for anybody who is watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, a picture of the long line of parents that are going into this small building. And I'm actually getting text right now from a Lockport mom currently headed to the board meeting. Very long text. If you and I will read it. And I appreciate you texting, but if you'd be interested in calling in and telling me a little bit more about what your experience is like going to this meeting, because I firmly believe that, because I know they changed the time for it, they also are making it so that you have to go to 2 different rooms when they could easily move this to a school gymnasium. And it feels like that the school board is purposefully trying to put barriers and blocks to not only entry, but to speaking and everything like that. So that it can be harder for parents to speak up about this. If you are that a parent, if you're this texter too, feel free to call in at 309-451-9299. I'd really appreciate it. 309-451-9299. Because I want to hear more and more and more about what's going on here. And we are going to keep, if you're listening on the radio right now and you're interested in this controversy, after it is done, if you go to our Facebook page, I'm going to live stream the school board meeting. Josh and I will react to it because parents deserve to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
Each and every one of these parents, if this school board meeting needs to go until 4 or 5 in the morning, that's the way it should be, because it is due to their negligence that this meeting has to happen in the first place.
Right.
Josh,
exactly.
I'm gonna read. I want to read through this text, but I want to read through all of it before I actually read it on air. What do you think? Have you heard any rumors about barriers to entry and everything like that? Would you be surprised if a school board did that to parents to make it harder for them to speak up on this issue?
No, it wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, there was a while ago where they sent out memos saying that parents speaking out at school board meetings were domestic terrorists. I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all if they tried to limit people entering or limit speaking. We see this at school boards across the district who go read the books that are in their libraries, and they say, well, that's inappropriate. And they go, okay, but that's your book. You're trying to shut me down now. We see it all the time.
Absolutely. I'm reading. So this is a Lockport mom, currently headed to the board meeting, texted in and had to say, the issue has never once been about this man's sexuality. It is entirely about the safety of our children. I have personal experience with family members diagnosed with bipolar and manic disorder, even heavily medicated. He would have violent outbursts and become physical. No one is saying this man chose to have mental illness. It's terrible, and he is clearly struggling with it. However, even if he is medicated, it just shows his irresponsibility even applying for a job to work with elementary kids, knowing what he is capable of if an episode arises because he is triggered due to stress of a child having outbursts. If this was a student posting the exact same things his social media and it was brought to teachers, parents, etc. attention, that student would have a police report made on him, as well as being suspended and or expelled for being a possible threat to staff and students. Why is it okay for a grown man to do the same and be allowed to teach children, especially after already being removed for having an inappropriate art project for students? So a lot of great stuff from that mom there. I hope she basically says all of that to the school board. The one thing I want to know, and if anybody knows more about this, is I've heard about this inappropriate art project and I talked about it. I've only ever heard kind of like rumors, reports of it.
Yeah.
I'd like to know more. If anybody has anything more, even if it's just something that you might have heard, I can report it as allegedly and everything like that. I'd like to know more. So if you do know more, 309-451-9299. Everybody, if you're listening on the radio, listen to Speechless. This is live. We're covering this issue in Lockport and Homer Glen, Illinois, of a teacher who was hired despite their public announcements of mental illness and history of violent behavior. Speaking to the larger theme that we've seen of school boards that are negligent, don't seem to care about teachers or students, along with just our education system in decline, period. Josh, you have comments on there was a lot in that message, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I think that mom makes a great point that, if a student were to post that or a student were to talk about this, then there'd be a police report, they'd be expelled or suspended, they'd be questioned by the police. But a parent or a new hire could potentially go put this up and nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
And again, these posts, I believe, are from spanning between the time of like 2017 to 2020-ish, but still, right. These are things that if they are even still up on your social media, at a minimum, if you're going to hire this person, the board and this person should have to answer for it at a minimum, and that's like the bare minimum.
Right. It's not like it was when he was 16 and he put up a dumb post with some unsavory language. Okay, you're 16, you make dumb decisions. That's just cancel culture at that point. But you're saying you're self-admittedly mentally unstable and committing violence, and you've committed violence. And yes, you never know what can make that snap. Even if you are medicated, you forget your meds one day, or they're not as effective. This happens. You have to up doses and things like that. This could all be a recipe for disaster and real danger to kids. I mean, that is what I'm so concerned about, is that again, it's not the sexuality thing. It's none of that. It's the potentially violent nature of this man towards children.
Absolutely. And being around children with that. And that speaks to a larger issue of mental illness in our society. Josh, we were talking a little bit earlier about mental illness as it comes to schools. And as somebody, you've been open on this show about struggling with anxiety in the past. While I've
Hmm.
never been diagnosed, I mean, I know a lot of people, and yours is, I believe, diagnosed, right?
Yep, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I
So,
was
and
diagnosed as a kid.
you're open, you're kind about it. I've never been diagnosed, but I've had anxious spats in my life, and I've had, I mean, every 57% of our generation is in some way
Right.
struggling with something at a minimum, depression and anxiety. What do you think should be done in schools regarding teachers and mental illness and teaching mental illness?
Well, I mean, I think number one is teachers are largely ignored as a whole, and they can't be. I mean, it's a stressful job, as I've said. I
Hmm.
mean, my first year was incredibly stressful. I love my job. I love my district. I love my kids, but it's stressful. There was days I called my mom crying, and I just said I can't do this, or you sit there and you go, man, why am I doing this? It's tough. It's really tough, and so I think emphasizing that mental health is something that it's okay to struggle with and it's okay to go through. You just got to you know, be aware of it. That's number one. In terms of teaching it, understanding that, hey, kids, you may have this and that's okay, but it can't be an excuse either. I think that's the difference. It's not an excuse for not doing work. It's okay to have a bad day and ask for a little bit of grace and a little bit of help. I think
Yeah.
that's totally fine and should be encouraged. But when it becomes an issue is when they keep saying, this and this. It's like, all right, now it's becoming an excuse. We can't let it be an excuse. It can be a barrier, not an excuse.
Because that's what I
And
worry about. Because like I know at the college level,
yeah,
I know like people, like you can literally just email a teacher and you could just be super hungover. True story. I know people that have done this. I have never done this, 100%. But I know people that have done this where they're like very hungover from drinking too much, and they'll just email a professor and say, "I need a mental health day." And
right.
the professor like can't ask questions. Like it is like it's a legal like eggshell field that they have to walk across to respond to that if they want to say anything other than that's fine, take your time.
Right. Well, even Illinois passed a law that said I think students get 5 mental health days a year. After 3, they have to meet with a counselor and discuss it. So they
Mm,
get kind of 2 freebies. The third is, okay, what's going on? But
yeah.
teachers get none. Teachers get absolutely none. Well, teachers are just as involved. They're just as stressed. I mean, it's a stressful job. Again, it's a job I love and I'm so happy I have, but it's stressful. There's no denying that.
Absolutely. I understand that. Everybody, we got to take a break here on the radio side of things, but with this live stream is going to go longer. We are going to live stream and react to the school board meeting itself. I found the live stream. I got the link now. And so we're going to do that. And if you want to know more about this story, if you're just tuning in now, go to Facebook, go to YouTube, go to Twitch, Twitter. You can see everything that Josh and I have talked about. He listened from the callers. I've had people from the Lockport area talk about their experience as a homeschooled mother. And I've had texts that I've read through as well of people that are going to this school board meeting addressing the negligence of the school board as well as the threat to their student safety due to them hiring a extremely mentally ill teacher. So everybody, please stay tuned. We got one more segment here on the radio, and you can always go to our live streams too. We're going to keep it going after the radio show, but we got more Speechless coming up soon on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Okie dokie, we are off air. If anybody else has a story to share regarding their child in the school district or anything like that, or maybe you're on your way and you're listening, I appreciate you listening. Feel free to text or call in at 309-451-9299. We got one more segment here to talk about this. And we can also keep things going, obviously, through our live stream of the school board meeting itself afterwards. I'm very interested to see what they see. You could also
Yeah.
go to Homer Community Consolidated School District 33C and find their and you could go to that Facebook page if you don't want all of Josh and I's commentary on this stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. You can kind of see Cleo. She's out on her rock right now in my
Your
background.
lizard.
My lizard. She's hi Cleo. You're asleep. Okay. Yeah, I had a little scare with her when the power went out. I had to go put her in a little warm bag to keep her safe.
Mm-hmm.
Unconventional. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. I appreciate the compliment. Teaching is tough. And I'm teaching government this year, which is even tougher because it's an election year, and all the kids want to know where do you stand? And what I said is I'm a constitutionalist. Take that as you will. I will vote whatever with the Constitution, and they are okay with that answer. they're like, oh, okay. But yeah, it's a tough year with that. But I'm excited because we have a lot to talk about. I'm about to go read about 100 different summaries about the Trump indictment because I have to do summaries for current events. I have a feeling most of them did that.
Absolutely. Whew. I'm going through texts and comments, guys. You guys are all so appreciated.
Yeah, this has been probably the most interactive.
I know.
episode
Well, and I want all
on
my shows to be interactive like this. I like that people are calling in and people are talking and sharing their opinions on this. This will be something that we'll obviously keep an eye on. We're going to go through this board meeting, and who knows what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, seems like whenever I'm on, there's a lot of conversation. So maybe it's me. Maybe they just like me more, Kev.
Maybe, Josh. Maybe
I'm the looks of this friendship. Let's be real here.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm wondering how that head is even fitting in that room that you're sitting in.
I gotta say it. You know that.
You're problematic.
Well, yeah. It's okay.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you have not already, subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. This is the kind of stuff I like to cover. I mean, this is something, obviously, Libs of TikTok picked it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm sure after today and after the meeting is when we'll get a lot more national news covering this story. Seeing what happens at the board meeting, especially because it's a Sunday, your national news is kind of bleh. And so if you want alternative media, if you want somebody who's going to cover the stories in a way that the mainstream media will not, like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn those notifications to all. I have pretty much daily content. So you got a question here, Josh, from Check Cash David. Just put it up on screen.
Let's see. What do you do as a teacher when a kid asks you about something, relationships, pronouns? A lot of them ask, are you single? I just say painfully. And then I just make a joke out of it. And they tend to just kind of get them off of it. Pronouns.
You teach high school too. For everybody.
I teach high school. Yeah, I teach high school.
So
I teach high school. Pronouns. I never asked anyone ask me by pronouns. If someone did, I would.
What's your policy? Because you have policies on using pronouns and stuff. For
yeah. So the state policy is you can change that. You can say different name and pronoun if it's approved by the parent as well. So they have to go in to the school with the kid and say, this is approved, this is okay, and then you can do it. Other than that, if a kid asks you, have to say, hey, I'm sorry, state law says I can't. If you have an issue, please go talk to admin.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our state law.
Yeah, we still got about a minute until we're back on the radio for the last segment, about 5 minutes, and then I will pull up. I'm on. I got to go find the exact link because I was on the Facebook page. And then I'm going to check the link that you have. Facebook Watch. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, yeah. There's 108 people watching that one, but you could watch here and it'd be more fun because they'll get to hear us talk.
Yeah, good commentary.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Pam.
Yeah, we're gonna air this though. I'm fascinated with what's going on over in Homer Glen, Lockport, Illinois. I never knew I'd be so interested in your guys in a school board meeting, but
I know. And Homer 33C, I didn't think that'd become a national issue. But I guess that just shows the nature of this country and this world and how this can blow. A little thing can blow up so big.
Yep. Okay, I'm coming back. Hey, Bloomington Normal. We are ending out this show here with one more segment talking about education today. Education today. We all, if you're listening, you probably know that it's kind of going downhill. Test scores are down. We have teachers that focus on the wrong things, and we have school boards that act as if they are above the constituents that voted for them. And that's the biggest story that we've been covering today is a school district in Homer Glen, Illinois. It's Homer Glen 33 or Homer 33C school district. Approved a teacher with a violent history to be an art teacher at the school. Self-proclaimed on social media, this teacher says that he has a mental health issue and behavioral disorders that have led him to violent outbursts in the past. Now he is teaching art at an elementary school. Tonight, they will be having a special school board meeting specifically for parents to air their concerns when it comes to this issue. Who knows? I'm willing to bet that many will call for firing of this teacher. I am interested to see if anybody will come to the defense of this teacher on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. We will be live streaming. I've been live streaming my entire show as I usually do, but we're going to live stream the school board meeting. Obviously, this is not Bloomington normal, and this is actually outside of city's listening area, but it is an Illinois issue, and it speaks to a larger national issue of bureaucracies that act independently from the constituencies that they are meant to represent. And this is a great example right here, and assuming that the school board meeting goes the way that I believe it will go, of parents and constituents attempting to hold that bureaucracy accountable. On with me today for our last few minutes, Josh Bender, my friend, former host with Speechless, formerly talented.
There
also
it is.
now a teacher in Nevada. So he's obviously very interested in what goes on in his former hometown, Homer Glen, not only as a former resident, but also as an educator. Josh, I know we touched on it briefly, but then we got interrupted a little bit from our great caller earlier, Nicole, who's a homeschool parent. Your feelings as a former resident of Homer Glen, and then and then I also want to touch briefly on how do we solve these issues? How do we actually bring education back to being about education?
Yeah, well, I mean, so yeah, like I said, I mean, it's shameful because I do love this district. I as much as I, talk bad about Illinois at times, I love my hometown. I really do, and that school was phenomenal. Had amazing teachers that taught me so much and pushed me to be an educator myself, and I'm so grateful for them. I remember in elementary school having the art programs with the art moms. Like we had art moms who would come in and do art once a month with us, and that was so much fun. And I loved that. And conspiracy mind says why are they kicking the moms out all of a sudden? But that was so much fun, and it's a shame to see what's happening. In terms of how do we get education back, parents be involved, understand that every election has consequences. We just had there was just a school board election in Homer a couple years ago, and the Patriot slate got wiped out completely.
No, those were like your more conservative people, the
right,
people that would have fought against mask mandates, vaccine mandates, everything like that.
Because people felt they were too extreme. Well, someone said this to me yesterday. It's you rather have the devil you know than the devil you don't. And while I might not necessarily agree with some of the more extreme views of some of these people, I respect them as people, and I wish they were in charge because this would not have happened under their watch. And I just be able to be involved, focus on the schools, and don't be afraid to step up and make your voice heard.
Absolutely. Well, we got to get off the radio here, but everybody, we are going to live stream this school board meeting, and Josh and I will provide some commentary on it as well. See exactly what happens. If you want to go catch any of that, go to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter. I don't know if I got onto Rumble today, but I'm on all those, and you go check it out. I really appreciate everybody tuning in, everybody who called, everybody who texted, everybody who was involved in this show. I really appreciate each and every one of you, every comment, every share, every tag. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to keep the live stream going, but everybody, God bless you, God bless America, and thank you for listening to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay, I'm going to bring up this live stream here.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's raining again, so hopefully I don't lose. Yeah, it's raining again, so hopefully I don't lose power.
Okay, I got that there. I am going to go use the bathroom real and talk to my boss for a second, but entertain everybody, and this should be starting soon. So,
yeah, for sure, awesome. Thank you guys for everyone for joining in. This has been really interesting for me because I saw this, I think on Libs of TikTok first, and hearing about this, it's been weird because like I said, I do speak so highly of the district, and I do love the teachers. I mean, there's so many teachers that I absolutely love, and it's a shame. It's a shame this is happening. Again, I think, and I think that everyone's kind of agreed to this, and it's been nice. It's not the fact of their sexuality. It's not even necessarily some of their more political comments. It's that's freedom of speech and freedom, and that's fine. It's the fact that they have a violent tendency and they're self-admitted to have that. That's a concern because this job is stressful. Mental health is on the decline as a whole. Schools it's not getting easier to be a teacher. Overall, I mean, again, I could speak very highly of my district. I absolutely love my job, and I love my district. I love all my students; they're amazing. But it's not easy to be a teacher, and so, yeah. I mean, thank you all, parents. Thank you for stepping in and actually fighting the good fight. This is great. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna
Good
be
evening,
phenomenal.
everyone.
Oh,
welcome,
it's starting.
Everyone that's online, and those of you that are in attendance. Roll call, please.
Chandarana? Here. Eucalyptus? Here. Risha?
Here.
Bitzman?
Here.
Trazia?
Here.
And Martin? Here.
Okay, can we please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, item 3, we are seeking a motion and a second to go into closed session for discussion of 1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Chandarana? Yes. Eucalyptus? Yes. Risha?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
And Kev said he will be
Yes.
back
And Hitzman.
soon.
Yes, motion passes. We're going to go into closed session at this time. We'll be back.
Okay, so they are going into a closed session first, and I don't necessarily know what that means, but I did see they said they're going to go into closed session. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to go discuss what's going on. They're going to discuss everything and then come out and hopefully take public comment and have an answer. I think it's kind of cowardly. They're going to do this closed sessions first. I think they should definitely hear public comment, because if they come out with an answer and they don't have any public comment, it's going to be chaos. There you go. Usually involve legal matter. Okay, so yeah, this is a legal matter too, of course. They can't be too open about, this person's private life, and I get that. I wouldn't want, some of my private stuff out there either. But yeah, so first they're doing closed sessions, then they should be taking public comment afterwards. So
Okay, I'm back. So,
yeah, so
what did they do?
they did roll call, did the pledge, and now they're going into a closed session first, and then I'm hoping they're going to come up for public comment second.
Oh, wonderful. Closed session.
Yeah, and so I think Ryan said it was usually involves legal matters, which makes sense, because again, this is someone's personal life and everything, so they could be having to talk about something privately first. But yeah, I mean, I hope they take public comment and actually face their constituents for this.
Yeah, if anybody is watching and you are a member of this community and you know anybody that is at this, I would love to know what's going on in the closed session. And I can take calls off radio air. And I'd be more than happy to. You could call in at 309-451-9299. And you could call in and let me know what is going on in this closed session, what's being said. I'll keep it in the background, but I can put us back up there as the focal point.
Let's see. Yeah, some good questions. So yeah, public comment should be first. Closed sessions protocols you need to keep. Yeah, I agree. Public comment probably should have been first.
Yep.
But they're going to try to avoid that as long as possible. Probably hoping people are going to get tired and go home, which they won't. And I know some people there, they're not going to get tired. Yeah, closed session could be 10 minutes to several hours.
So you know people that are there right now?
I know a couple. I know at least two. Some of them were sharing stuff with like pictures and stuff with me. I could potentially even text them and ask them what the mood in the room feels like and all that.
If you could get any
if there's
information
police
for
presence,
us, I'd appreciate that. Yeah, this is crazy. I'm getting a call.
there you go.
Let's take it. I got to make sure it's all off air. Hey, caller, you're on with Cities 92.9 and Kev Phares on Speechless on our live stream. May I ask who's calling?
Hi, my name's Kim.
Hi, Kim. How's it going?
Hi. I'm good. We're in Homer Glen.
Awesome.
And I'm just wondering, why there wasn't a background check on this teacher.
Seriously, would you mind turning down? I can hear you watching in the background, and I appreciate you watching, but would you mind turning it down just because we're getting a little bit of that feedback?
Sure.
Awesome. So, yeah, why wasn't there a background check on this? Here's the thing is that there was.
There was.
Because I saw and I can actually share my screen to this one. Somebody FOIA'd for information on a little bit of information regarding this teacher. And one of the things that was asked was, I'll share my screen so you'll even be able to see it as you're calling in. I'm going to share this tab instead. Let's bring this up. Right here. And so here was the FOIA request that was posted to one of the parents groups on Facebook. And it says, what type of background check does 33C do for employees? And it's Illinois State Police does a background check. So you can see that right there. So 100%, I get your concern. What else are your feelings on this besides obviously the negligence of the school board?
It's horrible. It should have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I
happened. Thank God I don't have kids in this school. Like,
absolutely,
I'm appalled.
Yeah. So you don't have any kids in the school specifically, but your taxpayer money, if you're in Homer, still goes to this, and right now is paying part of this guy's salary.
Right, and it's not fair. It's not okay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's not okay.
Absolutely. Well, Kim, I really appreciate you calling. I appreciate you watching. And we're gonna, like I said, we're monitoring the live feed. And we'll live stream the event as it goes down.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course, Kim. Thank you very much for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And your comment. Anybody else, if you have thoughts and you'd be interested in calling in, you can do so at 309-451-9299. Appreciate Kim calling in, sharing her thoughts as a member of that community. We're waiting for this. They're currently in a closed session, and we're going to ramp up even more talking about this insane story.
And some people are saying too, I keep saying social media, why I was in the check. So as I shared earlier, there is a policy that they can't check social media when hiring for staff, but social media can be used to punish a child within the school. So
it's double standard.
And like you said, teachers shouldn't, not that teachers shouldn't be allowed to have personal lives doing legal things. Of course, yeah. I mean, we all do. We obviously have personal lives. We don't live at the school, contrary to popular belief. I mean, don't get me wrong, I spend a lot of time there, but like I do have a home. I go out and I do things, but yeah, I mean, if I'm doing legal things, shouldn't matter. But illegal or potentially dangerous things should be brought to question.
Yep. We got some fun. We got a lot of comments here. Let's go through some of these. We got Pam, who, even if you don't have kids in school, it affects your community. Absolutely. Yep. And even if you don't live in that community, it does in a way affect your community. And the reason for it is because we've seen this across the board. School boards being either overtly negligent or acting independent of the will of their constituent. And that's just, and this is just another example of that, a sad example of it. But that's why we got to expose it. That's why we got to cover it. And that's why we got to have these amazing parents. Like, I got to be honest, when I was hearing more and more about this, if I didn't have my show today, I dedicated my show to this because that's what I could do. If I didn't have it, I'd be up there right now and I'd be on their speaker list. Not because the thing is that it matters to me. It's not my specific community. I did grow up in the Chicago suburbs, but not Homer, Glen, Lockport. It's not but who cares at this point? This is an issue of every community, especially Illinois, Because if this can happen in Illinois in that community, it can happen in Bloomington Normal. That could happen in my hometown of Naperville. It could happen all across where you have somebody who is self-proclaimed violent
Right.
getting hired into a school.
Right. Yeah. I mean, exactly. It's they're self-proclaimed. Yeah. It's not like this was to me, it'd be different if they never posted about it. This came out that they have this and they said, you know what, this was years ago. I've been working through it. I've been really fighting and I've been working to make sure I'm a better person.
Oh, exactly.
Okay.
But this
That's
is
a whole
obviously a
different thing.
deeply disturbed individual because they're pushing it out onto all social media.
Right. They're sharing it and saying, it's made me a better person, for better or for worse. Well, being violent has made you a better person.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pam also commented on your Wally's shirt.
Wally's, yes. I love
It's,
Wally's. I visited a couple times when I was back home.
In good old Pontiac, Illinois. But there's another thing I wanted to share too, as we're waiting for this for the meeting, because currently they're in a closed session. If you just tuned in, currently in a closed session. But what we do have to share right here is this is actually the agenda for the meeting. You guys might not be able to read the whole thing. Let's make it so the whole thing is on there, but we can. So the Board of Education intends to link all agenda items to the goals of the district's strategic plan. There's the plan, but the meeting, opening to the meeting, call to order, roll call, pledge of allegiance, motion to go into closed session, which is what they just did. Possible action after closed session, recommendations to approve resignation of a certified employee, recommendation to approve the dismissal of a certified employee, recognition of visitors, communication to the board, motion to adjourn. And so obviously, after this closed session would be when I believe the public comment would be down in this possible action after closed session.
Yeah. It seems like they're going to do a public comment last, which seems backwards to me. I mean, personally, I think they probably should have done it first and then gone into closed session, because now they're going to go into closed session, talk about everything without hearing public comment.
Well, yeah, recognition of visitors, communication to the board. So they're going to vote on all this before they even
before hearing anyone.
So the hope in that idea would be that it's an easy vote to dismiss, or it's going to be a long night for them with public comment.
Right, exactly. I mean, this is going to be a easier, because if they come out and say, do you know what, we're recommending they can either tenure the resignation or we will dismiss them. Okay, public comment might not happen because people are like, okay, great, we got what we want. Or people will still give some just expressing, hey, I think we should do this or this or this. But yeah, I mean, if not, it seems so backwards. This whole thing seems so backwards.
Yeah, it does seem very backwards, but yeah, I think this is a good point. Doesn't it sound like their decision will be final, even if public comments they've already voted? Yeah, they've already voted on it, and so that's what we are going to see is what they decide, is what people decide to say after the vote. Looks like we'll see the vote, and then we'll also see what people decide to say after it. Which, it like you said, it all seems backwards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seems like they should have again come in.
Yes, they do. They vote before public comment. Jim.
Yep. Yeah. Here's public comment. Here's what we have to say. And then we'll go vote. Then we'll go to a closed session and go vote. I mean, I don't get the logic there. But that's Illinois for you. I mean, that's generally just Illinois for you. Illinois is so backwards on everything. Again, there's a reason I left this state, because I couldn't teach there, because every single thing they taught me and I learned about it, I just said, I can't do this in good conscience.
Yep, we got another caller. Let's see who it is. Hello, caller on the line. This is Kev. Please turn down the background noise.
Hi.
Who am I speaking with?
Christine.
Hey, Christine. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Are you a member of District 33C?
I was. My 2 kids just graduated out of it a couple years ago.
Well, good for you.
Thank God, right?
Absolutely. So what are you calling in for today?
It's beyond ludicrous to me that for years my children had to sign a code of conduct to participate in child sports and be a good member of their community school district.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't hold their employees to the same standard of having a code of conduct to be employed. So my children had their social media watched. They were constantly looked up to see if they were at parties, doing things they shouldn't be doing, whole 9 yards, watching what their students are doing outside of school hours. But when it comes to their teachers, that doesn't apply. That's not an issue.
Yeah.
Yep,
Now, everybody
exactly.
should have their own social life. I agree. Outside of work, do you? But you shouldn't be with children when you're posting agenda to demonize them, sexualize them, completely transition them to your agenda. He's also, whatever you want to call him, has also gone on to post on social media. Let's continue to send a message to Will County and the surrounding counties. They thought that the revolution wasn't going to come to their quiet little white-collar town. Well, they were wrong. We're already here, and we demand to never be forgotten again. Is a direct quote from his Facebook before he had it taken down.
Yeah.
So he's here for a direct agenda. He's not here because he loves kids. He's not here to teach them, to spend time with them, to nurture them and help them grow. These freaks are here to sexualize our children, teach them demonic things, and spread their agenda in towns where we do not want that. There's a reason we don't live in the city. There's a reason my children didn't go to public schools downtown in Chicago. And now they're expanding and they're moving to, as he put it, a white-collar town so that they can spread their agenda and their hate and sexualize children. And now if there's pushback from it, the community is going to shut down the meeting and make it closed so that nobody can see what's really going on.
I think there might be some legal things when it comes to the closed session, but I totally understand what you're saying in terms of the agenda is moving out of just your urban areas. And so that's why personally, that's why I love that. Try that in a small town kind of thing, because this is what'll happen. You'll now have hundreds of parents that are going to call them out. But the thing that's even more backwards is like what Josh and I were just talking about, and the fact that they're going to hold this vote. And then after that is when the public comment is. So so if they decide to keep this individual on staff, then the public comment is just going to be a lot of people getting really angry about something that at that point they'll have no control over.
Right. Well, it's got to be that they've already made up their mind and they have to terminate him at this point, because why else would they have scheduled a meeting for Tuesday, August 22nd, realize this hit the news, sent out a mass email, we're going to have the emergency hearing on Sunday, make everyone think they're taking care of it, hold off all of the fighting, the argumentative, the public comments.
Starting to censor people in certain Facebook groups from things I saw. Yep.
Exactly. So it's got to be already determined that they're going to either suspend him or let him go entirely, which hopefully that's the case. And then hopefully that's what they're doing. And they're saying, hey, we've heard you. We see you. We're going to get rid of this person from our school district. And then hopefully that's why the public commentation is at the end, so that there is no fighting, there's nothing heated, and hopefully the community is just thankful and everyone's in agreement he should not be anywhere near children.
Yeah, hopefully. That would be the hope.
Right. And like
so now I know that they have a list of 28 speakers. Was anyone able to find out if he's actually at this meeting?
Josh, you have people that you know that
I can try to get some data. I can try to get some info.
Okay, so that's one thing that we're working on is like we are limited on the amount that we can know that's going on in there. But if you know anybody that is also, if anybody watching knows anybody that's currently at this meeting and can get any vibe on how the conversation is going among the board members, if the individual in question, the staff member, is in attendance, anything like that, questions we have here. And I'm very interested to see if the staff member actually speaks in that list of 28, or if there's even anywhere we could find that list of 28.
Right. Okay, so perfect. I actually have a few neighbors who are there now, so I'm waiting to hear back. We've reached out. I sent her a few questions. I don't know if it's just too good what's going on that she's not answering right now, or if she's waiting till the end to give me all the details and then send you what we find out.
Thank you very much. Well, I'll be monitoring our comments. I see a member of your community, James, says his wife is there. James, if you learn anything, please send it in the chat and we'll make sure to keep everybody updated. Christine, thank you so much for your call. Any final parting words?
Oh, nope. Thanks for fighting the good fight.
God bless you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was
Yeah.
Christine.
And I say, I like what you had to say about, if he's making this post saying, he's bringing the revolution and this and that, he doesn't care. I went into teaching. I always make the joke. I'm like, guys, I went into teaching for the money and the fame. That's what I tell my students. When they ask why I'm a teacher, and it's like, but in actuality, but in seriousness, I do love my job. I love educating. I saw a problem when I was in school because I felt that history wasn't really being taught. So I made it my goal to go teach it and to go make sure that these different perspectives are being heard. That was my goal. And that's why I'm a teacher. And that's why I'm so proud of what I do. And it's worth the little pay and the long hours and the stress because I do love my job. I mean, I emphasize that so much. I'm so happy I took this job.
I'm happy for you, Josh. I'm happy that you're happy doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm interested. Yes, James, please keep us posted.
Yes, thank you.
I'm so interested in what is going on. Because this is the thing is like I said before, meetings like this happen, not necessarily like this one specifically, but school board meetings consistently happen. And so very, very often they go ignored.
Yep.
People are not involved and they don't care. But
I like what you said too about the signing the code of conduct. I remember that. I was like, I'm 13 signing essentially a legal document. I don't think that's legal. you know, like, and then in high school too. It was the same. It was the same thing, and and I was like, what? Why? This seems so backwards and crazy.
Yeah, I am actually getting a text from one of my sources right now. Not at the meeting, but member of the community discussing how in that school district that you were in, one of a student had to take an Instagram post from a family party because an adult because an adult family member was holding a beer.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And so
exactly.
they're able to monitor and basically control students on their social media, but they're not able to do it. But they don't care even about what a staff member has. Per wife, he is not there. So the teacher is not at the meeting. He is not on the list of speakers, but have heard his attorney might be present to speak.
Okay. Interesting. And I don't blame him for being, I really don't blame him for not being there. I get it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And where I'm still monitoring here. I was just going to check on it. We can all see here.
It's still closed.
Yep. Still closed.
Yeah. I mean, who knows how long this closed session will take? It could take hours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, it's who knows? It's.
But we're here to talk about it. And if you're a parent, like we've had Christine, Kim, Nicole, if you're a parent that lives in the area or even if you're just a member of the community, I mean, your taxes go to this. And if you have anything you'd like to share, anything that we haven't covered here already, or you bring a unique perspective, we'd love to hear it. And so again, as always, 309-451-9299 is that call number. We'll bring you right on. And this is an opportunity for anybody to be able to share their experience, their story. Or you can always put it in the comments too if you don't want to call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
If they keep the teacher, the only thing the parents can do is take their kids out. Right? I believe from what I saw on Facebook, there are already parents that have there's a way that in which they can have their kid opt out of art class, so they aren't in this person's classroom. And I think that is something that they could continue to do.
Yeah, that would make sense. That would make the most sense, just to say, hey, I don't want to be my kid involved.
Because I mean, I know that you could do that for certain instances. When I was in like middle school, you could opt out of sex ed and stuff like that.
Yep.
And so I don't know exactly how it works in that district, but I'm sure that there's a way in which parents can have their kids opt out of things.
I think it was the same way. It was just like there was a basically a slip being like, hey, do you want them to be involved? Because I remember when I did sex ed in that district, and it was like, hey, do you want them involved or not? And you could say yes or no. Like, it was kind of the same thing.
Yeah. I'm interested what other media might be present at this event as well. Any of our people that are watching it, Kim or James, if you guys know of any other media that might be at this, if it's making national, I'm curious who's covering this.
Yeah, I would, and I'd be curious to see, because like you said, I think by tomorrow, some bigger media might be picking it up. I'd be curious who like the first podcaster is or the first commentator is to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
I could see
it depends on how the news day is tomorrow.
Yeah, I could see Walsh covering it.
This seems like something Walsh would cover.
This is something Walsh would cover. Because I mean that's his thing. So I could see Walsh covering it. Maybe Ben, maybe Shapiro.
Maybe
I don't know. He's probably more focused on like economy or something. I don't know.
I'm looking at this one, but they don't always honor that request to opt out. I'd be concerned still. Also, where does the opt out child go? Will they be ostracized? Kids can be mean too. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Along with that too is just the fact that if this person, like, the opt out is obviously like the worst case scenario. But along with that, I mean, the argument I would still have is this person, I did not see a social media post of him that he of him saying like exactly the extent of his violent behavior and thoughts or whatever. And so, I mean, we know that schools have been a place in which evil people have decided to carry out incredibly violent. I mean, we know school shootings. I hate to say it, I don't like, but I mean, I don't like putting that out there as even an idea. But we know that
But I mean, it's a concern.
Mm-hmm.
It's a concern it's a concern that unfortunately us teachers need to think about, and we have these plans for a reason. And yeah, I mean, you don't like to think it would be a staff member or a teacher, but you never know. I mean,
I even think about the one in Nashville, right? I forgot her relationship to that school, but I think she was a former student.
Former student, yeah, former student.
But you never know. I mean, like anybody is capable of committing evil.
Yep.
I'm a firm believer of it. And so it just because a lot of times it's been a student doesn't mean that it couldn't be a teacher at some point as well. Yes, I believe that this person identifies, it's a biological male from what I know that identifies as a they. So one of the maybe non-binary kind of.
Non-binary, I believe.
James says that no media is there, according to his source, which is his wife, and Fox 32 Chicago covered it 2 days ago. So it's made.
Yeah,
I know that I was wondering mainly because obviously Libs of TikTok, which is national. Well, it's social media, but it has a national reach, international reach, really. Posted about it, and I'm interested to see if anything else, if anybody else is covering it. Pam, do teachers go through metal detectors? I don't know about at that school. Depends on the school,
probably
right?
not at that school. Probably not.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm still monitoring everybody. The page, it is still in a closed session meeting. Look, I've never watched one of these before, but I think it's interesting that it's taken. I mean, it's been upwards of. It's been 30 minutes now since
30 minutes,
the meeting started. And my assumption is that if it were truly to be a cut and dry fire this person, it wouldn't take this long. But that's my assumption. It's kind of just a guess.
What they're probably doing too is they're probably with lawyers and discussing, is there any legality or could they face any legal troubles for firing this person?
Mm-hmm.
Because they, could they claim discrimination and could they, this and that, which I mean, it's a real concern. It's a real concern. But yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I could see why it could take so long.
Yeah. Doors are locked. You have to be buzzed in, according to James.
Yep. That's most schools.
Are they crafting their statement? Oh, they're back. Let's get to this. Here we go. I'm not getting audio.
We are seeking a motion and a second to approve the dismissal of Christopher Martin, art teacher at all elementary buildings, effective immediately.
So moved.
I was fired.
Who seconded? Okay, roll call, please.
DeShab?
Yes.
Traziak?
Yes.
Shonarano?
Yes.
DeFilippis? Yes. Hitzman?
Yes. Okay, motion passes.
Martin?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Unanimously, I believe.
Unanimous.
Are we good now? Okay. At this time, before we start recognition of visitors, the school board, we have a collective statement for the community. While the board and the administration cannot comment specifically about an individual staff member, we want to acknowledge the numerous questions and concerns recently raised in connection with the district employee. Please know that all new teachers undergo background and reference checks, and the board and district administration always keep the best interests of our students in mind during that process. Though extraordinarily rare, there are times that process may not be flawless. However, when additional information that is legally relevant to an individual's ability to work safely and successfully in the district does come to our attention, we take time to consider that information and then take appropriate action. In this instance, that action included additional background investigation, which resulted in the discovery of new information, but relevant to the employment of the individual in question. Based on this new information, the board and administration took action today to dismiss the employee. As always, our goal is to provide the best possible educational opportunities for our students. At this time, Dr. Craig Shoppy has a statement also.
I want to apologize to our Homer 33C families and acknowledge your concerns. As a parent myself, I understand that our families trust me to ensure a high-quality education and to hire the best staff to provide that education. I realize that I may have lost that trust from many of you, but I will work to regain it. As stated by Board President Hitzman, although the hiring process is not flawless, I will work to review and improve our processes. I assure you that I will continue to do everything possible to help our district provide the best educational experience possible for your children. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this time, item 5, recognition of visitors. Chris Traziak, who's our secretary, is going to begin that.
Sure. If I can just quickly read our public meeting audience norms. First, please, all cell phones should be silenced. Please refrain from talking or applauding during discussion throughout the meeting. If you would like to address the board at the meeting, you may complete the citizens' comment form prior to the meeting. We will have 3 minutes to address the board. These 3 minutes cannot be transferred to another petitioner to speak in your place. Please state the purpose for addressing the board at the beginning of your statement. There will be no responses from the board during this time. I could ask the speakers who received a card with a number, numbers 1 through 5, if you would please line up in the boardroom, and then we'll ask those with the numbers 6 through 10 to line up in the hallway outside of the boardroom. And then if I could ask you, when it's your turn, I'll call you by number. If you could just state your name before you start your comments, we'd appreciate it. And we'll start. You can step right up to the little box right there. And then, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned too, our 3-minute timer will be displayed right there on that screen.
Okay, I'll talk fast. Okay.
If you could state your name just to begin.
Okay, my name is Stephanie, and I'm speaking for Christina, my daughter-in-law, who has a child in this system, and she's working today. She said, I would very much wanted to be here in person, but my job, because of my job responsibility, I'm unable to do it. But I'm asking my mother-in-law to read my statement. Aside from Mr. Martin's full admission of having mental illness, he continues to state in the same post that he suffers from irrational thought processes that make his fears and anxiety triple. He has what's been done in conditions of psychosis and mania that have been violent and harmful. His statement alone is just the tip of the iceberg. Mr. Martin posts satanic worship, songs he sings, promoting rape, violence, killing, and a pattern of posting violent images speaking in volumes. What people fail to understand is this is not a mental illness. It's more about a self-admitted proclivity of being violent. This is beyond disturbing, and it should have been recognized right from the beginning. My job as a parent is to protect my child. It's my responsibility as a person who works in public safety sector to report and challenge the potential of violent behavior. Mr. Martin is not a person I want to be around or anyone else's children, let alone be entrusted to teach them. It's alarming to think that no one in administration knew about such concerns. That is really disturbing. It makes me sick. You either failed to do a proper background check or did and purposely disregarded all the red flags that popped up. What's more alarming, that it took a new face, both moms and dads, to spread the words, make phone calls, expose what has happened here. Negligence on behalf of the safety of our kids. For those saying Mr. Martin would have been a great teacher in defending his right to freedom of speech, I'd like to point out that First Amendment does not come without social consequences, and from what I've seen and read at this point, I'm not willing to take that at risk. 3 proposals. Number 1, Mr. Martin should not have given the opposition to resign. He should be fired immediately. I thank you for that. Whoever I charge or approved of his hiring should also resign and be fired. And I really believe that.
That's most of the people on that board as well, by the way, that approved it.
And not conducting social media check with Mr. Martin. You should have been thankful and grateful that parents did that job for you. We could be meeting under worse circumstances. Proposal number 3, that Mr. Martin is fired each of the Homer 33C schools as Will County Sheriff present during the school day for the next several weeks to ensure.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but in the interest of respecting the other speakers, your time is up, but thank you for your comments.
All right. And I'll read the rest later.
Number 2.
All right, more speakers. I'm interested if anybody will come out and support. That's
My
what I'm
name is
really
Lily Maselli.
in support of the
Good
teacher.
evening, members of the board.
Yeah, me
Dr.
too.
Shoppy. I've been a resident here for 6 years. I have 3 young children in District 33C. I have a 7th grader, 2nd grader, and a kindergartner. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous. I'm here today to speak about Christopher Martin. He is open about his mental health. And I, first of all, want to commend him for that, because in the society that we have today, it is a big issue.
Agree with that.
Being vocal about it is probably what was for the best. But with that being said, hiring a teacher with unpredictable behaviors for our elementary schools is neglectful. With Christopher Martin saying he has mania and has hurt himself and others in the past, they should not have been allowed in our school and around our children. And an individual with this magnitude of mental health issues poses a significant threat to our school, and our children's safety cannot be guaranteed through you guys. As elected officials for Homer Glen Schools, it is your job to do what is right for our children. That includes doing your due diligence with hiring new teachers and staff members. With that being said, the technology we have is at our fingertips. This should have been caught. Doing just a state police background check is not enough. As you are aware from all the emails and phone calls you received about Mr. Martin, there is one picture in particular that is the most alarming to myself and my husband. He posted a picture on his band website that is still currently up, and this picture is of a photo, a person holding a gun to their genital area, and another person on their knees with their tongue out. Had you done your social media check, you would have found this information. If you would like to look at your core values, it says data-driven decision-making and technology. Social media is a public forum. If this person is saying and posting this publicly, what will he do behind closed doors with our children?
Yep.
I am asking the board as a parent of a young children to start doing your due diligence when in the hiring process. As said above, we have all the technology at our fingertips. It's your jobs as our school board to check these things. It's your job as our elected officials to keep our children safe in school. I've started a petition to ensure emotional stability in our district's teaching staff. This includes better background checks, better mental health awareness. I currently have over 650 signatures, and every hour it is growing. I will be happy to speak with news outlets about this if this teacher is not fired. I will not sit around and let a mentally unstable person be around our children. As of right now, we have our children trained for school shootings. You cannot guarantee that an individual with this mental instability is safe. School is supposed to be a safe place for our children. And I would just like to squash a rumor, and I know you can't talk or answer anything, but with it going around, Miss Martin, people are wondering if you and Mr. Martin are related at all. So I just thank you for letting me speak and for dismissing this individual.
My name is Juanita Gay. I have 2 grandchildren in 33C. I'm a retired educator and worked in the mental health field for many years and served on school boards for many years. I have 3 questions for our community. Who among us has never had a mental health episode, whether it is a temporary bout of anxiety, depression, or other medically diagnosable mental health disorder? I know I have.
Where's she going with
number
this?
2, are we supporting our teachers with coaching, a blueprint for success, or other key strategies to help them manage their students, peers, parents, and ever-increasing workloads? My teaching career flourished because of mentors who were dedicated to helping me succeed. Third and last question. At a time when there's a shortage of qualified educators,
we shouldn't accept unqualified
based on
educators just
core
because of
values
what?
and
Ugh.
professional environment.
There's also not a teacher shortage in Illinois.
Can we really afford, regardless of what has happened today, can we really afford?
We shouldn't just accept somebody
to
as a teacher
discourage
if
and
they're
cause
because you claim there's a teacher shortage,
more
even if it's going to put
to choose a different
people,
career
students
path
in danger
because they use gender neutral pronouns.
It's not because of that.
It's not because of
a different belief system than you or I. Respectfully, teachers' personal lives, and I've been one, are none of anybody's business.
Then don't make it public.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, don't make it public. Exactly.
I don't disagree with that. Thank you for allowing me to share my concerns with you today. I hope we each choose to support our teachers who have dedicated their lives to nurture.
I actually think it is more supportive of teachers to fire the bad egg.
Yes, exactly.
Than to allow it to stay.
Exactly. I 100% agree.
My name's David Herezlak. I'm new to the area. I don't know anybody in here very well. But I echo the same sentiments that the first two speakers had about the concerns of Satanism and safety and things of that nature. I don't want to go into that too much more, but I think the one thing that maybe hasn't been mentioned is I saw a post about, and forgive me for saying this, but fuck the police. I want my kids to respect authority, whether it's the teachers, police, whoever it is. And I want them to respect whoever their art teacher is, but they're going to be very impressionable, and anything that they say, they're going to take to heart. So if they're learning the wrong things, then, and they're taught to respect authority, it's going to be ingrained in their mind for a long time and be hard to retrain. So I think all the authority that we have, the police we have, and I want this to be a school district where the police are very much appreciated, as they should be, and to always learn to respect their authorities, whether it's me, old lady on the sidewalk who needs help, they should always be revered and cherished in our society. So,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Great message.
Great point.
All right, thank you, board, and good evening. My name is Chris McNulty. I have 2 children in the district. I hope that you all address this later in the meeting because there's a lot of people in the room and around here that want to know if the dismissal and resignation are one and the same, or if those line items will be addressed individually. But with the current state of our society, right, the climate of our society, we as parents in a community, we have to be concerned about school safety on a daily basis because I'll be frank and honest with you, locked glass doors aren't the answer. But ultimately, I'll ask the question later. Provided the circumstance in question, those threats cannot come from within the school walls. So please do a better job with the hiring process, okay? Because there's enough coming from the outside. And again, thank you to our armed men forces, everybody, men and women in blue, the firefighters that protect the communities because they don't get enough recognition. I will say this, does the district have plans to enhance the security before it's too late, both with the circumstance in question and on-site premise, whatever that may be? I'll ask you this. Thank you. I will say this. Thank you for mitigating the issue at hand tonight. But I will ask you, before you hire anybody else, ask yourself, would you be comfortable in any 33C building with a person who perpetuates and promotes that kind of lifestyle materials online? Because I would.
Great point.
Hi, my name is Stephen Selucky. I'm a 6-year resident of Homer Glen. My wife and I expect to be lifelong residents of Homer Glen, although the recent events are the first that made us question that decision. We have 4 children that are either in or will be in the 33C schools. The news of what had occurred in our school district regarding the hiring practices and background checks of teachers and ultimately the hiring of the individual being discussed was disturbing, to say the least, a feeling of which I'm sure is mirrored by countless in this community. Let me start by saying that this Board of Education and Administration has failed the community in the most egregious way. The safety of our children who we hand off to you for your care for much of their upbringing has been neglected and overlooked. Giving you the benefit of the doubt, this is at least extreme incompetence and neglect of duty on your behalf. This Board of Education has not been the entity that has brought us resolution today, where this board has failed. The hero mothers, fathers, and community members have picked up the slack. Without your efforts the past few weeks, this violent threat would have been allowed into our schools on your watch. You are not the ones providing the solution, the community is. The next point to discuss is the fact that today's resolution does not resolve the threat. In this community efforts to protect our children, when the board failed to do so, it was required to spread the background of this individual's posts, prior behavior, pictures, social media presence, and in some instances, his name. Some of these posts have gone viral on a national scale, attention I'm sure this individual does not appreciate. Where I stand by that these actions were required to spread the message and utilize the tools available to the community members, they nonetheless have put this individual into national media spotlight in a negative way. If this person is indeed by his own admission manic depressive, violent tendencies, and does not have control of his actions, and his violence were to come to fruition in a public space, who do you think his target will now be? 33C School District, the place that exposed his depravity. You've let this threat into our community. The threat is not gone, and it will be a dark cloud looming over our hometown for years to come. I'd be interested in hearing what this board is expected to do to increase security, to protect our children in the coming times, or is it going to be swept under the rug and accepted as a final resolution? Now, I'm not saying you are evil people with ill intent, but you have shown that you are not the proper individuals to represent our town. and more importantly, our children. Where the community has stepped up in a major way the past few weeks, I have another request of our community. When we are so quick to forget yesterday, I ask the community at large to remember today. Remember how this board and administration has failed us. Yes. Only 18% of eligible voters showed up in Homer Glen at the last election cycle. I ask that you take your civic duty seriously and show up when these seats are up for re-election. To take action and find positive change in our community.
Great. Awesome.
Personally, have zero faith that this board is capable, competent, and willing to protect our children and provide a proper education. As in this case, where we've been selective of the teachers that we allow near our children, we need to be selective of those that represent us in positions of power in this town.
Thank you, man. Great, Dad. I love that.
Am I good? Okay. My name is Dwayne Blank. I have 4 children in the 33C system, various age groups. Now, the board has already made their determination, so what I'm going to say is basically, what now, right? Obviously, the hiring practices of the administration, specifically the specific schools, because I know that is done by the principals, should be under question. And there should be some sort of board resolution to highlight exactly what the hiring practices are. So we don't have to go through this. We don't have to drum up social media posts from the community to then bring this to you. You should have done this to begin with, so it didn't get to this point. I don't want to live in a community where the community members are dictating policy. You should be dictating policy and protecting our children, not Facebook. That being said, what's the contingency plan for the art program? Will the potential expense in legal fees and salary costs forfeit the ability for the district to hire a new art teacher? With the dismissal of this teacher, will the district have the ability to hire someone? If the answer is no, then the district will be forced to revert to the model of a parent art program. As someone with an affinity for the arts, I was enthusiastic that our district was adding a more structured art curriculum to our student schedule, something that was able to go beyond once a month, 1 hour of instruction with parent volunteers of various skill levels in both public speaking and foundational art knowledge. I believe our students will benefit greatly from an art instruction, and I'm afraid that this situation will sour the district on implementing said program. Whatever happens, I encourage you to please continue planning and implementing a structured art program with a certified instructor that is vetted thoroughly so that our students can receive more opportunity in their day-to-day to be creative, to hone their imaginative and expressive skills. Thanks.
Another great point. They might lose art altogether now because of it.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
something that the parents had fought for.
I have 2 children in your district.
I'm sorry, could you state your name?
Joseph Land. I have 2 children in your district. I moved them clear across Cook County, down here, because I grew up in Chicago. I buried my first childhood friend at 15 years old. I don't care about fluffy ideas of gender theory. I don't care about politics, Democrat or Republican. I'm not here for that. I'm here for the safety of my children. You are all charged with that, whether you like it or not. That's your duty. I would like to see every last one of you dismissed immediately, but we can't. So in the meantime, what I want to know is, how do you fill these gaps? What are you going to do to change your policy immediately? No one should slip through the cracks that says that they have manic episodes or psychotic episodes. No one. People that are charged with the care of adults get background checks, fingerprints, psychiatric evaluations.
Yeah.
Adult criminals. To deal with adult criminals, this is what you have to go through. You're talking about our children. I will not lay my children at the altar of political correctness. I will not. You will do something about this. Don't think that this little placation of dismissing this person will pass. because that's all you've done here today is try to pacify somebody, and you have pacified nothing. Nothing. I put it very clearly in my email to you. I want action. I want these policies changed. I want to see screening, mental health screening. We've all seen what happens when these people snap. They don't go after the guy with the gun. They go after the innocent, the ones that can't help themselves, the ones that you're charged with protecting. This isn't the 50s or the 60s or the 70s. We live in a different world. These psychotic individuals go where they can do the most damage. This is your solemn responsibility. It's no more sacred than that. It's the innocent. They can't help themselves. And we give them to you to keep them safe and to educate them. I pay good taxes. I have moved so far away to get away from the nonsense in the city. I've come here and brought my children here to put them in your care, to educate them and keep them safe. This is your responsibility. I don't want to hear about gender theory or art classes. You can throw it all out the window because it means nothing if you send my kid home to me in a fucking body bag.
Amen. Okay.
Do something, or I will see you all removed. All of you. I won't rest until I do. I'm done.
Wow.
I like that guy.
He's awesome. He should run.
He should run.
I gotta go after that. My name is Nick. Yes, I ran for the board. No, I was not elected,
As
and
one
I'm
of the
not
Patriot
campaigning to
slate
be
people,
reelected.
right?
So, yes, to be reelected right now, I am not interested. My motivation is simply speaking on behalf of the community and as a parent. So let's clear the air on that now before I proceed. This art teacher was hired for one of three reasons. We only had one person apply for the job. They knew someone, or the screening process was bypassed completely. I don't put any blame on this teacher in question. They should have never been put in this situation. This hire shows incompetence and negligence. Any board member who voted or admin who advocated for this hire should resign immediately. I don't know how you stay on after this. You put our parents, community, and most importantly, students in a terrible situation. The first day of school in the younger years are usually the most exciting days. You ruin that for these families. Instead, you instilled fear and anger. And the next time we make news, I want it to be for student achievements, not an issue like this.
Absolutely.
Also, for the parents, ma'am, who've expressed their support for this hire, please consider hiring this teacher for private tutoring sessions at your house. This would ensure that everyone is happy. Okay? This would ensure that everyone is happy and that all parent voices are heard and addressed. Thank you.
I like that. Oh, Steve.
My name's Steve Ballage, and I'm the chair of the Homer Republicans, from Jay Rhodey, Christine MC, and Angel Shake. A lot of people got emails from us. We've been trying to get everybody involved, which thank you to the community for coming out, because this is horrible on every front. And I know the amount of time that these individuals spent, because it was me too. I mean, we're up all day and all night talking to people because people find it almost impossible to believe. So people would say you're lying. They're telling me I'm lying. I'd send them screenshots and an email. Then they would call me on the phone or send it back, and they can't believe this is happening in Homer Glen. And everybody, I'm talking about Republicans, Democrats, we don't ask you what your political thing is. It's about kids. And the community has really came together on this. So when we sent stuff out, it wasn't be political. So I want to make sure everyone realizes that. But what everybody said, I talked to the superintendent, and before the meeting started, I gave him an envelope signed by 135 elected officials that was headed up by Senator John Kern's office. And you know what? It's not political, but when you get, I'm supposed to represent you. All them people, all 135 people that are on that list represent you. And they need to make you know that we care. And we don't care about what you believe or anything else, except that you want your kids safe.
Yep.
And so I don't know any way to put it other than that. When I talked to Superintendent Choppy, I told him, I said, you need to come up with a plan, and a good plan, because how many people slip through the cracks? Yeah. And we don't know. How many people, what are the policies for all this? And I don't want to get into it now. And all these people came on a short notice. We start calling people on Wednesday, and we got a huge number of people involved. Tuesday, my guess was going to be somewhere between 1,000 and 5,000 people coming. Yeah. And you could talk to any of the people I just said. They've been on the phone for days, and it goes into the evening. And everyone's saying the same thing. How can we trust the school? And so what the answer is, send them now. They have to come up with a plan and tell everybody what the plan is. And then, how do we move forward from this? That's the question. How do we move forward? And we all care about our children. And the school board, they care about the kids too. I don't know if you got kids in the school, but I'm sure everyone cares about their kids and the kids that are being taught here. But we have a big problem. It's the elephant in the room. What are we going to do next? Yeah. And so Tuesday, when the meeting comes, I would hope that you won't have a thorough plan because it's too short of a time. But I hope you guys can come up with something to tell everybody how you're going to protect our kids, how you're going to make sure nobody gets hired again like this, and how do we know that nobody slipped through the cracks? Because that's what probably everybody else is going to talk, is going to say the same thing. So that's all I got to say. And thank you for firing the guy, because that's pretty much what our letter said. What I was talking about, the rest of it was planned for Tuesday, but thank you for firing the guy, because that's the first step to fixing this problem.
Absolutely. They have a lot of questions to answer, though.
Yeah,
a lot.
I love Steve. He's a great dude.
Hello, my name is Violet, and I have a kid in the district. I stand before you today with deep concern and disappointment regarding the recent hiring from the school board. It's evident that they have failed not only the community, but also the parents and children who trust them to make sound decisions. The board's decision to hire a new art teacher, despite his disturbing social footprint and self-admitted violent tendencies, is deeply troubling. This candidate, driven by psychosis, has publicly declared his intentions to target, and I quote, our quiet little white-collar town in Will County. I question whether the Homer board, if they had discovered this information during the hiring process, would they still have hired this candidate? In today's digital age,
thank you, James, very much. I really
appreciate
appreciate
it. Part of the
it.
background
Thank
check
you.
is standard practice. The board's alleged claim that they missed this information due to an alias or different last name, or claiming a flawless process, is simply unacceptable. Children are tech savvy with access to online platforms like YouTube through their Chromebooks, what they just got this week. Imagine their fear and confusion if they were to stumble upon this art teacher's troubling profile featuring guns, bloody dolls, F the police, and other disturbing images. While it might be commendable that an investigation has been conducted, we must acknowledge that the situation should have never occurred in the first place. It's disheartening that such negligence took place after parents championed for a formal art program in our school so passionately. In closing, thank you, board, finally, for recognizing the gravity of your error in this hiring decision and fixing this mess. However, parents, I implore you to demand transparency, responsible decision-making when it comes to education of our children, and most importantly, accountability. We have to hold this board accountable, and I expect dismissals and resignations from this board as well.
Yes.
One last word to my fellow Polish community. For those of you that don't speak Polish, I'm sorry. Drodzy Polacy, mamy głos i nadszedł czas, aby zjednoczyć się dla dobrych naszych dzieci. Połączymy siłę, walczymy o ich bezpieczeństwo i pracujemy razem, aby zapewnić im najlepszą możliwą edukację. Nie możemy już sobie pozwolić na milczenie lub poleganie na tych samych ludziach, którzy bronią nasze dzieci. Mów i wyraz swoje obawy. Thank you.
I have no idea what any of that means.
I don't know.
If anybody does, type it in the chat. I'd really appreciate it.
Hi, I'm a parent here and an aunt of a child at Butler. My name is Nicole Bosshaller. I'm here today because I am asked for all of you guys to think about how you hire someone to put someone like this in our schools in front of our children and make it dangerous, and that we're here today still dangerous because it is here and it's past that point. So I want to know what is going to go on after this. Is there going to be police present for the rest of the year? For, like the guy said, next 3 years? Like,
I
we're
was
now a
aware
target.
of this.
So
I
just hope that you guys think
know
about your
some
next
Polish
step.
people that live in
And that's
Homer
it. And I'm here to keep children safe. Thank you. Sorry, I'm
My name is Neil Cannelli. I have 3 children in the district here. I've been a resident here for 10 years. I've been in Illinois my whole life, grew up in Tinley Park, moved here with my family. I work really hard. I work long hours, 60 hours a week, most of the time. I try to provide a safe place for my kids. That's why I moved here. I don't consider this a white collar community. This is community for everybody. And let this be a message. We're not going down without a fight. Peaceful, but fighting spirit.
Way to cover his back there. I like that.
I don't know what happened. I don't know why it was allowed to happen, the hiring, but it needs to change. There needs to be a better way of figuring this out. I don't have social media, my wife does. And I was awoken at 12:30 at night from my wife freaking out because she didn't know what to do because it was discovered what was going on with this character. Like I said, I'm a hardworking fellow. But if that means I need to run for school board, I will. If that means that I have to go ahead and take the reins myself because you folks are so not ready for that, I will. If there's no action, remember this face, Neil Cannelli. I'll run.
2025.
You think I'm joking?
Nice.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
I'll run if there's no action taken. I guarantee you I could find somebody to help me get on board. So remember this face. If there's no action taken, I'm coming for your seat.
Wonderful. A+ to that guy.
Heck yeah.
Hi, Gina Halverson. I have 2 children in 33C. One at Young School that could have been in the hands of this teacher that was just dismissed. With the absence of communication, ambiguity is created. You failed at communicating to our 33C community over the last 2 school days, which started prior to the start of school. The initial social media and Chicago news outrage, not to mention national outrage, could have been tempered if someone from the board or administration communicated with us about what was happening with any type of investigation or simply how you plan to keep our children safe. You communicated nothing. If any one of you had seen the post on social media from Chris Martin, you would know why the community acted the way that they did. We were freaking scared. That said, much of the points I wanted to state have already been stated, so I've adjusted. Elizabeth, you opened and mentioned that background checks sometimes fall through the cracks. To me, that is an excuse. It's a total lack of accountability that you've just pushed off your desk. I am demanding that the person or persons responsible for Chris Martin's hiring be held with responsibility of immediate termination. Finally, and absolutely most important, outside of the current safety measures that are currently in place to keep our children safe on a daily basis, this community demands communication on how you intend to keep our children safe tomorrow morning, next week, this entire year, and in the years to come, because change needs to happen. And I'm asking for more communication, because I can assure you, as I stated in the beginning, with an absence of communication, it creates ambiguity. Please give us more communication.
Core values.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
Good afternoon. Layla Kaffmeyer. I am mother of 2 young children here in Homer 33C. My child was supposed to have this teacher third quarter. I am a security guard in a high school. Safety is my passion. Children are my passion.
I know there might be
You
a
put
little
my
bit of a
child
delay
at
between
risk.
speech and everything.
Safety.
It's
You're still
live
putting my
streams and
child at
stuff
risk.
like that.
I want to
Internet
know
thing.
that I'm going to get a phone call.
Sorry about
I've done
that,
this
guys.
for 17 years. I want to know that you're going to call me, ask me any questions that you have. I can put you in charge of my administrator of safety, who's in charge of task force here in Bill County as well. I want to talk to you guys first and foremost. When the election starts, you guys have to put people on that board that have children in the school. That's the only way you're going to ensure that your child is safe.
Which exactly what I was talking about earlier.
Maybe they do. I don't care. Clearly, they didn't care enough. That is their civic duty and their responsibility to your children, to our children, to the community. If they don't do that, they gotta go. Same thing for administration. You have failed. Failed miserably. Sorry doesn't cover it. Sorry does not cover it. I was gonna come here Tuesday to thank Sheeling's principal, assistant principal, teachers, social workers. It's like, they were amazing. They were my rock last year. I had total different intentions to come here next Tuesday, but I will be here again. And I want to know by next Tuesday, what safety procedures have you put in place for our children? Safety is the only concern, not politically. No politics should ever matter when it comes to safety of your children. Right. Don't care if you are a Republican, Democrat, call it whatever you want to. 2025, I will be running for the school board. And I do not identify as a Republican or a Democrat. Politics have nothing to do with my children and our children. Thank you.
And I think that's the overarching theme from a lot of this. Like, yes, there are some that are more on the Republican side and conservative.
Hi, my name's
that are
Kathy
speaking out
Tucker.
about
So
it, but it has
good
nothing
afternoon to
do
board, parents, staff, and everyone
with
streaming.
that.
Thank
Exactly,
you for
yeah.
the decision made today. But today's decision was reactive, not proactive. So going
Beautiful.
forward, I ask that we look at
Love
who
that.
ultimately made the decision to hire him and bring it to the board for approval. We have a human resources department who should ultimately be responsible for who is hired and who is being released, and to make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. This should not be left to other personnel such as principals, secretaries of administration, or any other employee. This also will eliminate the "I thought someone else checked." Other jobs and employers that are not ensuring the safety of our children are doing background checks, such as social media. We need to do our due diligence and conduct these checks. The negligence to check all background and put our children and staff at risk is unrealistic in today's day and age. Someone who openly admitted to committing violent, harmful acts was allowed in our school with our children and our staff. And the person who chose to let this happen is the one who ultimately put our children at risk. Going forward, we need to do what we need to do to protect our children, and we need to make sure we are ensuring the safety of the children after the fear of retaliation has taken in. Just as he quoted, revenge is artistic, and he cannot control his actions. In conclusion, if a group of moms can find information within minutes, a school board and a human resources department can find it immediately. Thank you.
Absolutely.
To be fair, a concerned mom can find more information than the FBI. So
That's
My
true.
name is Ashley Salvador. I first want to thank the board and the district for listening to the community and for taking action. I have a kindergartner and a third grader in the district. I need to know, most importantly, that my children are safe and protected each day. But I also need to know that the people working with my children each day are also safe and protected because they are also important people to our family and our community. My primary purpose in addressing you today revolves around the request to reevaluate the district's hiring processes. I advocate for a consistent hiring practice where all candidates undergo the same vetting and interview process, a vetting process which needs a major overhaul. From my understanding, different candidates undergo varying interview approaches. Some are offered positions after one interview, while others are required to spontaneously teach a lesson during the interview. Some even return for a second or third interview in which they are required to teach a lesson then. To ensure fairness to all candidates and uphold the district's integrity, I believe that it's imperative to grant every individual an equal opportunity to showcase their strengths and areas of growth. Does the board have a standard criteria used to determine which type of interview each candidate receives? If every candidate is required to undergo the same standard process, I believe it's less likely for something like this to fall through the cracks. Like many of the previous speakers have mentioned, I am demanding to know what is the district's plan to keep our kids, teachers, and staff safe now that they have a giant target on their back because current safety measures and protocols are no longer enough.
Christina Knightsky-Troike. As mayor, I support you in your decision tonight. I'd like to thank Dr. Shapi, board members Treziak, and
mayor?
board member
Guess
DeShaft
so.
for returning my calls and keeping me in the loop. If you don't mind, thank you. Now, as a parent and a resident, I don't know how our quiet little town was put in this situation in the first place. But as you can see, our town isn't quiet, and it's not so little. I truly hope you consider a different path when hiring the next teacher and some sort of discipline, if not resignation, for those who made this recent hire. I do not believe this hire was with ill intent. However, I do believe a ball was dropped. I hope you pick that ball up and think of our children first from now on at all costs, because I have a feeling this isn't going to end here, although I hope it does. I know individuals from the sheriff's office have offered an open dialogue regarding training on background checks. I hope you take them up on that offer. Homer Glen is now put on the map and not in a good way. I'm not very happy about that either. I'm hoping you take more than 30 minutes in the next executive session and figure out a way to protect our children moving forward because they are going to need it now more than ever. For those making this political, it's not, at least not for me. This is not about D's and R's, left and right, blue or red, because if it were, and we were standing here talking about someone in the same party as me, I'd still be standing at this podium saying the same exact thing. I understand people can change. However, I don't think our children should be used as a trial round, ever. With that being said, I hope this community continues to put our children first. And a special thank you to those who took the time to do your homework. And I thank you, my children thank you, and the majority of Homer Glen thanks you. Thank you.
I like that even the mayor is saying people need to resign.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good evening, board. My name is Kevin Baer. I'm a parent of an 8th grade student at Homer Junior High. I'm a 20-year Navy veteran and an 18-year resident of Homer 33C. First off, before I get into my statement, this hiring has exacerbated the threat 33C students are going to face now, because not only do we have this gentleman that we've just fired, now we have all of his followers on social media and any of their followers who could decide to take adverse actions against our children. So there's your first failure. Every single one of you should resign. Any of you that don't have students in this district, get out now. You're done. I will run for this school board, and I will defeat you. I will use everything in my power to do so.
I love the person in the
I
background.
know you
who's
can't
going,
answer questions,
2025.
but
Every
I'll
time-
find out through a Freedom of
every time
Information
somebody's like,
Act
I'm gonna
how
run
many
for
of you
school board
take contributions
2025.
from the teachers' unions. As a parent, the hiring of this teacher demonstrates the continued shift from education to indoctrination. Over the last 3 years, parents have seen the lengths the so-called experts have gone to prevent parent involvement in their children's education. The hiring of the art teacher demonstrates the 33C leadership does not care about the safety of our children. It further demonstrates 33C leadership encourages the views of this individual who could use his position to indoctrinate our kids on his views of killing police officers, alternative lifestyles, degenerate behavior, and outright anarchy. These views have no place in the school environment. Social issues, politics, etc., are to be discussed between parents and children, not in a classroom. If our kids know the political leanings, religious leanings, or anything else of a teacher, that is wrong. It should not happen. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's it. An example of this is just the latest in the ongoing attempts to remove and indoctrinate and remove the rights of parents who want their children in an environment that is conducive to safe learning and critical thinking. As parents, we are here to tell you that we are not done with this. You are accountable to us, not the other way around. Teachers' unions and school boards have colluded with the Department of Justice to try and silence us, label concerned parents as domestic terrorists because we question the methods used in public schools. This lack of due diligence requires an immediate removal of all those involved in the hiring process, an immediate review of hiring policies and guidelines to prevent this from happening again, and make public all changes to the hiring process. Full transparency between teachers, school boards, and parents. At this time, we should demand nothing less than the resignation of the superintendent and the entire school board. You put our kids in danger, and you should be shown no quarter for that.
Wow. I can tell he's a Navy man.
Hello to the board. My name is Athena Danu.
I'm standing up for
I
this.
came here to speak today against your decision. No party represents me, so this is not political, as so many of you have said today. I applaud all the parents who came here today to speak their mind. It is important to take part in your community. That said, this is the United States of America. We have freedom of speech. This person chose to exercise their speech how they sought to, and they are being ridiculed and persecuted for it. And not just that, they are being persecuted, if we're all going to be honest with ourselves, for being non-binary.
Oh, that's
Lib's
bullshit.
TikTok
You're an
account
idiot.
run by
You are
Tyler
an idiot.
Reichig draw national attention to this. As another speaker had pointed out, there is national attention on this school district now. I will remind everyone here that you acted in what you thought was the best interest of your children. And unfortunately, that is not what Libs of TikTok is in it for. They led a campaign of
You are the
bombing
first
threats
person
against
that
multiple
has attended
children's
this meeting to
hospitals
bring
around
up
the
Libs of
country.
TikTok. You're an
Because they
idiot.
sought to provide health care that many of you, I'm sure, disagree with for children.
You're making this political.
This
Like,
has
you just
led
said
to
you weren't, but you're
general
going. You are.
effects to children needing such normal things as open heart surgery or cancer treatments being canceled because of the horrific acts of partisan. And this is political. You can keep saying it's not, but it is obvious to everyone here. And I am sorely disappointed in every board member here for having no spine whatsoever. I don't have children here. I'm a former student. I came here, and to see you so lackluster and offer
think I
no
might know them.
explanation to any of these concerned parents here to rest their fears. Many Americans have mental illnesses. Right now, there's a pediatric mental health crisis going on, and your response to this is to get rid of a teacher who has firsthand experience with tackling mental health. The post
I
about,
don't know about tackling it.
psychosis,
Nothing-
all of this was
nothing
to end the
posted made it
stigma.
seem like
And
it was
indeed, the
tackled
meeting
there,
of
buckaroo.
today is to not end the stigma,
I mean, they
but
might have
instead to
tackled someone.
stigmatize even more, to get rid of them, to threaten them, to persecute them, to push them out of towns and neighborhoods and cities. I mean, what is this? What has this become? Mob violence? This is
Mob
absurd.
violence.
And all of this to use for politics. I cannot believe this. And you will say, and many here will say, it is for the protection of children. And I will tell you here today, I am a trans person. And I will tell you, when I came out in high school, you all failed. I was sexually assaulted. I was sexually harassed. I was given death threats and rape threats because my high school failed to act. And that is all because of the same thing going on here today, which you succeeded in. So you can tell yourselves, yes, you may have done this in the best interest of children, but all you have done is protected those who abuse sexual minorities, who abuse children that are queer.
That
you have protected them. Thank you.
Firing somebody for making violence is the same as me getting sexually.
My name is Dan Fialco.
That is
and
the
what I'd
absolute
like to say. I just came from the
exactly.
area of the gym, and what we have out here is patriot angels of our community protecting the children. This, you should all congratulate yourselves for being here, because this is what it took, was a community to bring this forward to everybody. Now, I was at the BMW championship game today out in Olympia Fields. On the 15th hole, we start talking with a couple. And that couple said, where are you? Well, they were from Florida. They asked where we were from. Oh, we're from Homer Glen. You guys are the ones on national television right now. Yeah. So that shame has been brought on this community unnecessarily. That did not have to happen. I mean, I could say all the things that many, many other people have said up at this microphone, but I'm not going to. The big thing is you had a fiduciary duty to protect the children of this community.
Big word.
That is your responsibility. And you know what? It's not about all the things that the last gentleman said. It's about the safety and the threats that were made out there. So when you have somebody making threats and you have a fiduciary duty to find those things, people at McDonald's have to go through a more stringent exam or background check than you had to do here. I don't follow that at all, because you definitely, the board dropped the ball. And you know what? We could place the blame. We could say it's your fault, your fault, your fault. It could be because somebody was related to somebody. That's why the person got in. We could say all kinds of things. But the point is, we know that there's a problem. And now it's how you fix the problem, now that you've identified the problem. So let's take the effort and figure out how you can come up with a protocol or a method. And I don't know if you guys have a protocol already, but the thing is, if you had one, you deviated from it and you dropped the ball. And so let's figure out how we can keep our kids safe now, because now, just like everybody else has said, we have to keep our kids safe. So I don't know how you're going to lock the school down and monitor the threats coming in if you're working with Will County, but it needs to be done, because this is, like others have said, this is not the end of it. This is just the beginning. You mitigated a problem, but now there still are going to be subsequent problems to follow. So I hope that you all take the effort to make sure that the kids in this community are safe in the following days when school starts here. So thank you.
And it's all problems that the board caused. Like, this could have all been avoided.
Hi, my name is Karen Luxondiak, and I'm a part of the community here in Homer Glen. I would like to address the board and the superintendent and state what others have said this evening. I think that you've failed in this case gravely. Many people have said today that the ball has been dropped in the vetting and hiring process. And what I would say is, and I think there might be somebody else here who may have had the same thought. The thought occurred to me, we keep saying the ball was dropped. Is there a possibility that the ball was not dropped and that this was intentional? That thought just occurs to me, and I just have to say that out loud. Ironically, I have a family member that is a teacher at the school where that art teacher was, and so much was known there. And I also have a family member that teaches in the Homer 33 district. I myself work in higher education, and I just couldn't leave this evening without stating that fact. I find it highly unlikely, highly improbable that the ball was dropped. I am a little familiar, or very familiar, with the vetting process that teachers go through. So I just have to leave this evening still walking away, wishing that this never happened. Very happy that the result is that this teacher will not be here in Homer Glen, but wondering, did the ball drop or was this done intentionally? And thank you for listening to me tonight. Thank you.
Great point.
My name is Renee Yanchu. I have 4 children, 2 of which are currently in 33C, one of which that just graduated and is now in high school. I have another child that's also going to be coming into 33C. I want to state very clearly, having children in various age levels, that we are not a bigoted and discriminatory community. I can tell you that my children have friends, students, fellow students who are questioning their identities, and that is being respected and treated with kindness. So the gentleman, or excuse me, the individual that previously spoke,
Wait,
and I do
would you not
apologize.
cancel yourself?
That was his experience from years ago. And I don't think we live in a society where those issues can be ignored. Our children are confronted with them, and they have to be treated with compassion and empathy, and they are in this community. So saying that our community is letting down students, I think that's coming from a place of maybe what was, but not what is. And that being said, our children are exposed to lots of different things. And now having been exposed to this situation, which isn't about this person's identity or their sexual preferences, but rather the fact that they have shown, in their own words, self-describe themselves as worse than Satan.
Okay, one thing, because I
They've
know
described
almost
themselves
everything
as
she's going to say, but one thing, I'm
violent.
just going to mute it real quick because I just really have to say this, is I actually really don't like this lady, or at least what she's saying. I don't know her personally, but I really don't like what she's saying because what she's trying to do is to bend the knee to the gender ideology crap and all that stuff, which again, she's right in the idea that this is not about that. But she's trying to, but what she does is she's just like, oh, well, like, I'm an ally, but like, this isn't like, I want to help people. Like, she's trying to bend the knee to all the gender ideology crap simply to try to get good graces. When you shouldn't have even, if it's really not about that, you wouldn't be talking about it in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I think that's why she is bringing it up, is because that's what the media is going to cover. That's what the conversation is going to be. It's, oh, they fired this person because they were non-binary, when that's not the case. So by her coming up and saying that's not the case, this district is not like this. This is simply because of a violence issue, and even me, who is an ally, agrees with it.
But the point
I
of
actually
what
think
it
there's a
should
really
be,
good
the
validity
point
to
of what
that.
it should be really too, is talking about how linked that non-binary and gender stuff is to severe mental illness. That really should be it. But I just don't like, stand on your convictions, stand up, have a backbone. And I think it's like, oh, like, don't, like, it just sounds so weak to me. The idea of like, oh, well, I'm not like that. I'm not like that. It's about safety. I don't know.
But even then, again, I think it's fair.
Now is afraid. He's like, Mom, am I going to be safe at school? Is my child going to be safe at school? Because even if this individual is a lamb trying to pose as a lion, as a beast, because that's what he is, trying to pose as, it says, I'm 99.999% an asshole. I'm worse than Satan. That's what was on this individual's page. Just if he's a lamb, but now we're now on a international spotlight of this agenda that's being shoved down everybody's throats. How do we guarantee that people from the outside that are part of the revolution that this individual spoke of, to send a message to our communities, our white collar communities? I've busted my ass my entire life. So have my parents. So have my grandparents. How do we protect ourselves from the rest of the world? How do I, in good faith, tell my child, you're safe, kid? I kept him home that day because I was gobsmacked that was the first that I was learning about it. Not because I'm a bigoted person. I have family members that identify as trans. I love them with all my heart. As a Christian, as much as people want to make us seem like we're bigoted and discriminatory, I love this individual. If they were colorful and eccentric, I would have been happy to have them here. I'm an art mom. I did the artwork with the students. I saw these sweet, young, beautiful children. But when I saw the wanting to go to the macabre and the violent and identify with it, how dare you? How dare you put us in that position? How are you going to address it with our children? Because they now are afraid. They've seen what their parents are going through. What are we going to be, the bookend to Highland Park? How dare you? don't want to see any of you lose your livelihoods. I know you're good people, but what the hell is going on? And what are we going to do moving forward? And how are you going to
I
address
like
this
her
with the
emotion and her
children?
passion, but I
Because you
just
kept
don't,
us in
I
the
don't
dark.
like the
You
whole
didn't address it with the community. And now the same thing is
begging
happening
for
with our
good
children.
graces while
Are
still
there
being
mental
critical.
health counselors?
Yeah, I
if
think
we're
she's
so
good.
worried about people's mental health, for these children to talk to, how is it going to be discussed with them? What issues are going to be brought up with them? Are you going to discuss it with the parents first, how you're going to address it with the children? Or are we going to just sweep it under the rug like we do everything else while we're having active shooter drills in our schools? I love this person, that love him as a human being and wish him well. I have deep compassion for the scrutiny that he's potentially going under. I don't know how many death threats people say, we received death threats. Any individual that would have come across this page that has a dark heart can give this person a death threat. I don't know if it was anybody from here, but you know what? The authorities should address it because he shouldn't be receiving death threats. But there was threats of violence. He put love is violence. That was the quote he put under his picture. Love is violence. I'm torn of what to do next. My 3 minutes are up, but I think I'm getting to the heart of things, of what our children are going through. My husband and I said, should we change schools? I don't want to do that. I don't know if I can financially afford that. But what do I do moving forward? Because I can't trust that you're going to communicate properly to our children, that you're going to communicate to us, or if you're going to continue some agenda to try to placate the people that want to pretend we're a bigoted and discriminatory and racist town, which we are not. We are not. I know these people. I'm devastated. I'm devastated that this is yet another thing that I have to address with my children, that their innocence is even more lost. Our children are jaded. And they've had their innocence ripped from them because we're more worried about liability instead of rational, intelligent thinking. Somebody did drop the ball. Will they ever have to deal with that? A lot of people dropped the ball. All of you dropped the ball. I didn't see this person's name and say, oh, are they identifying something? I looked up my kids' teachers. I looked up every single one of them. I went on LinkedIn. I looked up their names. I tried to figure out what their maiden names maybe were. My mom's a teacher. I know her stuff is private, but they wanted the world to see this. They wanted to send a message. They
That's a great point there,
that they
too.
wanted to send a
Yeah, I
message.
do agree with
And no,
that a
you do
lot,
not
is that
change.
there's a
in
reason
5
why
years.
this was all
What is in
public,
your
why
heart
we
is in
were-
your heart.
Exactly.
This person didn't find Jesus and suddenly, why? Let's make Satan bad again. Let's make the macabre bad again. It doesn't represent anything good, anything loving, anything compassionate, anything kind. If anything, it's just to yell out and say, look what I can do. For what purpose? If we don't all start taking better care of each other, the position we're already in, it's just going to go downhill. There are parents outside that would like to connect with other parents, that would like to have a better form of communication. Talk to them, give them your contact info. So next time you're not waking up Thursday morning gobsmacked of what's going on, so that there's a way to put us together and communicate as a community, because that's how communities used to be. We used to watch out for each other. We used to know each other.
They're
and
letting
we
her
don't
go. I
do
love
that
this.
anymore. And we have
Yeah,
to
I'm not
do
a big
that,
fan of her,
because
though.
it's the
I think
only
they-
way
I
we will
am. I'm actually
survive.
a
We will
fan of
protect
her.
ourselves
I think
from
she's-
the entities out there in the world that want to destroy our way of life. Period. I implore you to
I
address
think she made a few good points,
how
but it was
you are going to
surrounded
talk
by
to
too
our
much
children
sensationalism.
about what's happened, that you're not going to brush it under the rug, that they're going to know that they're safe. Who are you going to bring in to talk to them? That is your duty of what you've done. And honestly, whoever's at fault for this, which you kind of all are, you should be financially responsible for making sure those people come into our schools to talk to our children in a way that's understanding of what the parents, where the parents are coming from, not to push a further agenda that they have no business being a part of. Thank you all for coming and being the force that we need to be, and we need to do this more and more often. This needs to end.
I just think she was weak. trying to
I think
bend
she
the
was-
knee
I
on
think
the
she was
gender
good.
stuff.
That's it. Okay.
Is that all of them?
I guess it's
Let's
by
see,
the
what
way.
let's see how they finish this off.
We're
Yeah.
seeking a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming.
All right. That's the end of the meeting. Final thoughts?
I mean, they made the right decision. I think I know you didn't like that last lady. I did. I know you're gonna say weak, but as someone you know me, I really don't care about LGBTQ issues. I think adults can identify however they want, and that's not the issue. And I think that she made a great point there. She said, "This is not what this is about. I am an ally of that. I'm an ally of these people. I know kids in the school."
Well, then you can't complain about the Satanist stuff because you're supporting things.
I mean,
that are
I'm not
secular,
going to go into that because I don't know about religion.
Well, no, what I'm saying about her though is because then she started complaining about the Satanist stuff. You're not a Christian if you support the idea that you can change your gender. Like that's not that's antithetical to Christianity, and
Sure.
thus you're weak.
You can disagree with it and still have sympathy, which is what she said. I don't agree. I don't hate this person though. I still love him as a person, and I hope that he is doing okay and wakes up. I think that's wonderful. But I think what she did well was she said people are going to say this is an anti-LGBTQ thing. This is this is against that. That's not what this is. I'm someone who supports that. And even I'm saying this person needs to go because they are a danger. And I think that's
but you don't have to go into the whole thing about like, well, I have family members that are trans and everything like that. And it's just if it's she's making it about that while saying it's not about that, but also making it about that when it's not about that in any way, shape, or form. What should be a serious conversation coming after this, though, again, is the deep ties and roots of serious mental illness and psychosis with the belief that you can change your gender, that you are a gender that you were not born as. That should be a serious conversation that comes from this. In reality, there are a lot of questions that board has to go through, and none of it, again, you are right, and she was right, that it's not about gender or anything like that.
Right.
It is seriously about safety of children, and now it's about holding that board accountable.
Exactly. Well, and again, I think she addressed that the person who was talking about I am a trans person and I went through this and this because that again that's what the media narrative is going to be, and that's what the narrative is going to be is that this school board fired someone because they're non-binary and this and that. When no, that's not what this was.
I'm going to be interested to see. I'm going to be interested to see if that's really what the media narrative. Maybe some. I just can't. I feel like this one is pretty like, I don't know. I've seen some crazy stuff come out of the media, so maybe you're right.
Exactly. I mean, we see it all the time. They twist it, and so I that's what I think it's going to be. And so by her kind of playing the middle of this is what I support these people and as people, but this is not what this is about. This is a safety issue, and that's why I'm here. I think that was actually a pretty decent way to handle it.
Yeah, I think there was way better speakers up there. I like the one dude that was like bald with like the beard and stuff.
And that guy was cool too.
He was like, I moved out of Chicago to get away from this crap. And I was just, I love that guy. He was
that guy was
a
awesome
little bit.
too.
He had some crazy eyes, but I liked it, man. That guy had a lot of passion. Big fan of him. Wow, we are going on almost 4 hours here, guys. I promise I'm going to keep covering the story, following it, seeing what the media will spin it as. Obviously, we have our ideas, but I got to get home. I got to eat. I haven't eaten anything all day. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Josh, thank you for joining me for all of this time. Thank you for everybody who tuned in and watched. Do not forget, if you're first time watching this, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, everything like that. I really appreciate each and every one of you. God bless you. God bless America. And you've been watching Speechless.